Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I am the perpetually punctual Polly. And joining me, always late, Inquisitor 8.1. How you doing?
You know, I'll only be your scapegoat for so long.
You like it. And, of course, joining us is Jack. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How you guys doing?
I enjoy being punctual and on time. I think the audience enjoys it. I think they like to know when to expect us. It adds a regularity and consistency to their lives.
We are men of mystery.
Regularity and consistency. We're like Activa.
Yeah, we are the Mucilex of live streams.
Well, yeah. Sorry about the lateness, guys. We're supposed to be starting at, I don't know, what, 10 Eastern, right?
Well, 10. We just have to drop the Eastern part. Somewhere it'll be 10 o'clock.
Right.
Somewhere it's 10.
Yeah.
Maybe in the Maldives or something.
Maybe that's in the Maldives on Christmas Island. It's 10.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We're on Fiji time, damn it.
I had tech problems today, and as I often do on this stream, I'm going to admiringly curse out the umbrella guy. Because goddamn, that guy's organized, and it pisses me off. I watch his channels, and because it's now 2 after his first one received a strike. I think he honestly starts to get started like a while before his stream actually goes on. He gets his tabs organized, gets everything organized. I think that I'm started early enough where, you know, the text and the tabs, the stories we're going to cover, and the thumbnail generation and Photoshop and stuff. And God, man, no, it just doesn't happen.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it is.
Maybe when we start making some money.
Yeah. You know what? I was talking about that with Ranting Monkey the other day. He's like, you know, you can start a Streamlabs. You don't need to wait for monetization for 1,000 subs and so forth. And I was like, yeah, okay, I hear you. And I said, but then there's the problem. Like, I'm going to feel really guilty when I'm not starting on time, when people are like, you know, they'll throw me $2 here, $3 there, whatever, you know, and it'll all be appreciated because it's going to go towards comics. I'm not going to like blow it on like hookers and cocaine and shit.
Whatever, that's your rules.
With as much as you spend
on whores.
with as much as you spend on comics, you wouldn't put that money towards comics.
No, I'm already blowing money on comics. I could use some whores.
No, fair enough.
Was that out loud? Oops.
Yes.
Hi, Mom.
Aren't you glad
you disowned me?
No, I just kind of thought about it when that. Jesus, Platty says Polly's less regular than my mother's bowels.
Well,
wow.
Your mom should go to a doctor.
It may be true, but ouch.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I think Platty might have discovered a whole new realm of like comedy running the dozens, you know. My mama's so irregular that, like, you know.
Yeah, there's some prune juice jokes in there somewhere.
Oh yes, and Platty also reminded me of the PPPP, the Procure a Pistol for Polly project. Some money might go towards that.
Nice.
Yes. So we got a roll call up here, and this is Kyle, has been waiting for a while, and that's awesome. Mule 1066, who doesn't have a wrench. This is the wrench no state. What's going on?
Neither does Rotten Corpse.
Rotten Corpse is always here. Why doesn't Rotten Corpse have a wrench? Hold on, let's fix both these. There we go.
From what I saw, Irate Bear was having a problem giving people wrenches for a while.
Yeah.
It like limited him, so he ended up having to take a bunch of them back because people were abusing their power.
Like what power? When everyone has a wrench, no one can get kicked.
No, new people come in and they don't have wrenches. So
yeah.
Then it's, you know, who can mess with the newbie most. And it looks like college hazing at a frat party. Next thing you know, you got 5 dead bodies you got to hide.
And as I mentioned, we got Platty here. Johnny Hellcat. Johnny, how's it going?
Hi, Johnny.
Zelthor's here. Great. Chad Cancerous. That's awesome. I love when Zelthor shows up. Brings the spice. Mustafa's here. Awesome. Perfect.
Mustafa.
Okay.
Nice.
And according to Johnny, I'm the king of the $3 hooker. Wow. Wow. I wish I
had share some then, because, you know.
Well, see, the thing is, you got to start hanging out where the meth heads do. Quiz. That's where you get the $3 hookers.
I actually like teeth.
No, why? Those are bitey.
Mhm.
Gummy all the way.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you want a proper gummer, you go for a meth head with no teeth, and then mistakes can't happen.
Yeah, and there's no like when they get the DTs and start trembling a lot, their jaw doesn't lock up and snap things off.
Okay, I was cracking jokes. You sound experienced. Holy shit.
Well, I read a lot of Florida man stories.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed what goes on that state.
Welcome to our comic
Not
book
really.
stream, everyone.
Not really. It is Florida. I mean, everyone's expecting it at this point, right?
Yeah, well, Florida is sort of the supervillain lair of the U.S.
Well, Rotten Corp says this is the second time I've ever had a wrench, and I probably still won't do anything. Well, you know, what's funny is we were just talking, Jack and I, before we came on, about a YouTuber named Tommy Sotomayor. He de-wrenched everybody because there were people that he's got a lot, and I mean a lot of online haters. There's people that dedicate whole channels just to fucking with this guy. And they will come in sort of like undercover on the sly, and then like real QT act like they like them, and then get the wrench as a moderator, and then start blocking people that are known contributors, that are known donators, just to fuck with his money.
That's a dick move.
Well, yeah, but it's not just one person. It's like 7 or 8 people that really hate Tommy. So they're like, and I'm like, wow, that is a whole new level. I have never heard of that happening. And so he just de-wrenched everybody, and then slowly is like adding, okay, I definitely know you. That's cool. Definitely know you. And all these people complain, what happened to my wrench? What happened to my wrench? And wrenches are a weird thing.
Those sorts of people, the people that like are that dedicated to hate someone online just because they make jokes and stuff like that, have even less of a life than you do, Jack.
I know, right? Like, get a hobby.
Well, my whole thing is like, if you dislike what somebody's doing so much, haven't you just discovered your niche in terms of offering a counter message, counter content? Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's okay,
yes.
Now you're talking effort and work.
That's true. It's true. You have to generate original content as opposed to just fuck that guy, fuck that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Anger is very visceral. It doesn't lend to creativity. It lends to destruction. And that's not content creation. That's just, you just want to go break shit. So, yeah, there's a lot of like losers out there that are just hanging around complaining. We see a lot of that in comicsgate. See, us all circles back.
You know what's funny? I was talking with somebody about
why.
I know, but every now and then I get the urge for human contact. So I was talking with them about the kind of not response video, but live stream where people cover stories, and we always do that. Like we said, we got tabs, like meaning things that we want to talk about, and we have our regular targets like the Mary Sue and everyday feminism and bleeding cool and stuff. And it's like, of course there are regular targets. Who else would be? I mean, what is the point of a mutual agreement fest? That's what happens there. Do you understand what I mean? Like it's an agreement fest. We could sit here and talk about this character is so fucking cool. This character is so fucking cool. Our comics pitches are for that. And the stuff that we like is for that. We actually have positive things to say about comics. There's a whole section of every one of our live streams, the comics pitches, that's dedicated towards talking about what we do like. And we end up talking about why we like it and why we think the other person should be interested, and why hopefully the audience is as well. The people that are here and tend to agree with this material, i.e. those beautiful, beautiful people in chat, please like and subscribe and hit that like button and the notification bell, and share on Twitter if you're so inclined. I would think a large part of them already agree with a lot of the things that we like. They're interested in different comics that we might suggest that they hadn't heard of before, something along those lines. I think that it's interesting to see what, quote, the other side is saying, because if you're not going and like, I mean, why would you go read Bleeding Cool unless you've got like, I don't know, a pain wish like we have? Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Like, it's don't stay locked up in your own world. It's like,
yeah,
the people that actually like these SJW comics, what's the perspective that they're coming from? Well, okay, let's talk about the perspective and then laugh at them for being so hard-lined and straight-laced and stick up their ass about the whole thing, you know?
This is the big one, for me at least.
What's that?
Out of touch.
Oh, out of touch. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the echo chamber right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, TM the Riders says, happy Thanksgiving. No kidding. Happy Thanksgiving, chat.
Yeah, it's technically Thanksgiving now. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
It won't be for me until another hour, so.
Well, we're in the future, so happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, technically Thanksgiving here, and despite the eradication and genocide of the Native Americans, because somebody had to bring it up.
Smallpox did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
Well, it was the white man bringing their evil. That's what did it.
Whatever. Not my fault they don't handle the sniffles well.
Yeah, was smallpox doing that? I didn't do shit.
Now, a couple of things came up here in chat. People are asking about the title of the stream. And fair enough, we're going to get into that. But there's one thing I wanted to mention before we got on to it. A couple of people sent me DMs on Twitter talking about that they like the thumbnails, which is real positive. Thank you. I appreciate that. That they like the general style of the show, how conversational it is. Again, thank you. Appreciate that. And then Chaos Eve, who's like an ongoing person in chat. She always shows up, one of the minions of the zoo. She mentioned something last night that I was really happy to hear. She was at a local con in her area and bought a whole group of comic books, including a number of issues of Silver Sable. And it was, I mean, that was awesome. I think it was, she said, I can't remember who pitched it. It was either Polly or Quiz. I think it was Polly. And it was me who had pitched Silver Sable #1, Silver Sable in the Wild Pack. And she went and bought it. And I'm like, that's so cool that somebody like picked up a bunch of like back issue cheap comics at a con based on a suggestion, not because I'm awesome, but because the comic is, you know what I mean? And just kind of like brought it to her attention. So she bought it. And I'm like, fuck, we're winning, guys, in a really small way, but we're winning. This is great. You know, as opposed to eternal negativity and stuff, get different people looking at things I hadn't thought of watching before or reading before. It's fantastic.
Well, anymore, I just buy comics I want to read. I don't buy. A lot of people seem to buy them for cringe. I don't do that. It's a waste of money. It's $4. You know what else I could do for $4? I can make homeless people do cartwheels. Oh, you mean like buying stuff like deliberately to like? Yeah, to cringe.
Roast or cringe.
No, it's, I get it, but you know, I think that's a waste of money. Whenever homeless people ask me for money, I make them do something. They could do my yard work, but I like to make them do cartwheels because it amuses me and it's good exercise for them. Okay, do you mind if I ask you what the fuck you're talking about? Well, no, that's what I would do with my $4. Instead of buying a copy of Squirrel Girl, I could get 4 homeless people to do cartwheels for me, and that brings smiles to my faces and the faces of those around me. You know what? I'm going to call shenanigans. I find it hard to believe that you're able to regularly find homeless people that are capable of doing a cartwheel. Well, they don't do
That's the part that you find. That's the part that you find.
Well, you know, they ask me for money, and I'm like, hey, do a cartwheel. And sometimes they try. But oh, I see. It's them falling on their ass in a failed cartwheel that's giving you your entertainment, you sick fuck. It took you that long to figure that out? Well, no, I was just picturing a guy like, you know, long hair, unkempt beard, oily coat, ripped pants, doing like this gymnastic Olympic perfect cartwheel. And that struck me as an odd image. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. That's not a thing. They usually do those like half-ass ones where their feet are barely off the ground, you know, some third grade girl could do better. And then I'm like, no, do a good one. So they try it 3 or 4 times. And once they're out of breath, I'm like, all right, here's your $1.
Here's your $1.
Yeah, they only get 1. Sometimes it's like a quarter. So
if you impress me, you can have 2.
Yeah, so you have to. No, they don't get $2. What? Hey, I ain't Daddy Warbucks over here, buddy. They get between 25 cents and $1. That's the cap. They have to afford their bum heroin somewhere else.
Their bum heroin, not
Yeah.
not the good black tar, but that shit.
No, they're getting the crappy low end stuff that the dealer cut with too much baby laxative or whatever.
That's cocaine. That's cocaine. If you cut heroin, it would look great. Anyway, all right.
I don't know. I don't know what they do. I don't care.
Guys, this is a comic book stream. Bums doing cartwheels on heroin is not related to comic books.
Well, it will be when I make my comic book called Bummy Cartwheels. Everybody else is making comics. I'm going to make one about a bum that does cartwheels for money.
Jack, you write it, I'll draw it.
All right. We're going to be rich.
I expect a bigger fucking turnout on Indiegogo than Ethan Van Sciver. Make it happen, people.
Yeah.
All right. I keep noticing our viewer numbers go up, and then they're listening to what we're talking about, and then the numbers go back down. We should probably move on to actual comics.
Oh, you're talking about this is fucking brilliant. We just came up with a comic book concept.
All right. Look.
Yeah, Polly. Jeez.
A few people asked about the Hulk got fired. Now, I'm actually happy to hear that because I was really happy to hear that Mark Ruffalo got fired. Yes, he did. From the MCU. He is gone, and I mean way gone. But there's some fantastic little bit of I wouldn't call it lore, but dramatic online back and forth related to this. And I thought I thought this story was old.
It is.
I even talked about it on. I even talked about it. It is dumb. I talked about it on Monkey in the Morning with those guys. I was like, "Did you get fired?" And they're like, "No." Jack is the one who filled us in last Wednesday when we did the stream, and it had happened 2 days prior to that.
Yeah.
So it would have been last
I thought
Monday.
You guys knew.
Yeah.
I did. I'm surprised Polly didn't.
Don't be lying.
I did. All right, fine. I'm lying.
All right. Crack just said, I finally gained real interest in your cohorts, Polly. You hear that, guys? That's all it took. Bums doing cartwheels on heroin. That's what it took.
I'm here to help.
So let's sort of talk about the background of what happened. And by background, I just mean the back and forthisms. Hold on, I'm going to share a screen so y'all can see the happenings. Share. Present. I'm professional. I love this picture that they used on Bounding into Comics because Mark Ruffalo has this kind of look on his face like, that was dumb what I just did. It's perfect.
But it's still smug at the same time. It's like I'm better at saving the earth than you. Why did I get fired?
Actually, that's the perfect caption. Chat, what do you think? What's going through his mind here? Is it like, oh, it's too bad you don't understand my moral superiority. Damn.
Dude, my friend's kid made that same face whenever he pooped himself.
So let's just read this because Bounding covers it pretty well. They just throw up the tags here. So what happened is Mark Ruffalo went on the Jimmy Fallon show and he revealed the name of the new Infinity War movie, Avengers 4 Infinity War. He revealed the title of it, that the directors of Infinity War thought was revealing crucial details about the film just by the title of it, kind of thing, and releasing it early. And the Russo brothers. And so just a month ago, Ruffalo appeared on Jimmy Fallon's nightly show and supposedly spoiled the title of the upcoming Avengers 4 film. There's even some audio, supposedly, of the interview on Fallon's show, isolating the voice of Ruffalo against the audience clamor. Ruffalo tweeted to the show host shortly after the taping, at Jimmy Fallon, I trust you will cut my spoiler slip on the show tonight. That was off the record, homie. Please don't get me in trouble with Marvel. Again, DM me back, M. I just love that homie.
Well, not only that, is that the retard puts it out as a public tweet.
Yeah.
He doesn't DM Jimmy Fallon.
See, this is what I mean. That is what made me think, in addition to the response, that this was all part of a promotional thing. Like that it would draw attention to it because he said something he shouldn't have said. Everyone's going to pay attention now. It was a viral advertising campaign that some marketer came up with, because he didn't DM it. Like, what are you, fucking retarded? You send it out as a public tweet?
That's why I thought this was totally legit. I'm like, he is that stupid.
And that's mind-blowing. To which, and again, check this out, to which Fallon responded, dude, it's too late. Already sent the final show to Burbank for air. Are you sure you're going to be in trouble? We could maybe bleep it out. What is a DM?
It's a dungeon master. He wants you to contact his dungeon master. He failed his smart.
It's like, Jimmy Fallon, are you retarded too? Like, you guys are both stupid. How do you guys tie your shoes and buy coffee? Like, how do you make it through the world being this dumb?
Don't. They're celebrities. They don't. Every single person in these fucking ivory towers does not tie their own shoelaces, Polly. They are that stupid. They're that vapid.
Hey, come on now. Okay. It's called Velcro. It's a space age technology. We should all appreciate that.
Okay, chat. You see what I'm talking about here, though? This seems like, no, come on. You just wanted people to pay attention to that show because the show's been sent out. It hasn't aired yet, but you can watch it tonight. This is what's making me think that this is an attempt to promote Mark Ruffalo on Fallon's show. Right? Because it's like, well, I'm going to send out in public that you shouldn't have done that. And I'm going to write back, sorry, dude, it's too late, but you can see it on air tonight. What's the DM? Like, I mean, come on, who on Twitter that has fucking hundreds of thousands, probably both of them have millions of followers, and you don't know what a fucking DM is?
I'm telling you, man, they're dumb. This is
so here's the gold. Here's the gold everyone's been waiting for, and this is just delicious. To which the Russos, the directors of Avengers 4, replied, Mark, you're fired. And people are like, no, this is a joke. People didn't believe it. No, man. Nope. They legit fired him that way.
They fired him on Twitter. Now, see, this is what, tech savvy people actually fucking do. When someone is that retarded with social media, the way that Mark Ruffalo was, this is the proper response.
Look at this guy.
Retardation by saying, Mark, you're fired.
Just like, look at his face. This is just, I love looking at his face and imagining that was the look on his face when he read, Mark, you're fired. And the whole world read it. And he was like, oh, but only I could see this, right? Like, this is a private message.
Yep.
Just like your message to Jimmy Fallon, it's there for everyone to see, Mark.
So this is the original story on Bounding. Like, this is kind of the background of what had happened up to this point. So what we got over here is like, you're still fired. This is so priceless. Okay, Avengers 4 directors Anthony and Joe Russo confirmed that Mark Ruffalo was actually fucking fired for leaking not only Avengers 4 title, but also significant plot details on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. The directors made it clear that Ruffalo was fired after they recently revealed another cryptic image declaring they finished reshoots for the forthcoming Marvel Studios film. Ruffalo wasn't too happy about the Russo brothers being allowed to post spoilers, and he subsequently got fired for them. So Ruffalo tweets out this, and you fired me for a measly slip of the title? Spoiler alert! Like, meaning this thing that they tweeted out. It's like, you know what, man? They're the directors. They get to decide what will be released and when. They're kind of in charge of the marketing, not you, holier than thou, Ruffalo. Just saying. That's my opinion.
But he is a staunch ally and male feminist, and how dare you do this to him? Do you know how sensitive he is? He is a sensitive man. Yeah. And to do this without his approval, they're allowed to leak things. That's unfair. They need to redistribute the leaks.
And I mean, now keep in mind, blue check Mark Ruffalo, are you kidding me? You dethroned me from this MCU. Like, I'm an important guy. I have the right politics. I bitch all day long about fucking Trump and everything else that I really don't understand very well, but I'm going to pretend that I do for the sake of, moralizing every situation in the world. Seriously, chat, roll through his fucking Twitter account. It's just the most self-serving, self-righteous, progressive nonsense you've ever heard.
Yeah. Oh my God. They should have used the GIF of Trump saying you're fired when they typed you're fired, because that was
really dude. That is what I thought they were doing. I thought it was all part of a joke campaign, and because like that's the idea, right? It's like, Frank, you're fired. Like that's the Trump line, right, from his reality show. I thought they were kidding, but no. To label Trump. So anyway, it's like this, and you fired me for a measly slip of the title. Spoiler alert: I'm bitter. I'm a blue check mark. So the Russo brothers, also blue check marks, tweet back, "You're still fired, Mark." Yeah, that's savage.
Now, see, I've let it known that what my whole idea and opinion is on a lot of these people in Hollywood. I don't have a very high one, but seeing someone like this get their comeuppance, it's gratifying.
Oh,
it's very, very gratifying.
It's like, and okay, Zelthor just said, I've been thinking about why I don't like Thor Ragnarok. Can't figure it out. Maybe just did. It was all the wavy Ruffalo chips. Jack had mentioned that after the last stream. He said he ruined Thor Ragnarok. I think he's right. Mm-hmm. I think in a lot of ways, easily the worst thing about Thor Ragnarok is Ruffalo. He's just such a whiny, wet noodle through the whole fucking thing. Like, what's going on? Where are we? He's annoying. And he's the worst part of Avengers Infinity War. Easily the worst part. Too much screen time for that guy. And there's only one more film where we'll ever have to worry about seeing that cocksucker again because that son of a bitch has been fired. And I raise this question.
That's how you really feel, Paulie.
Well, I make it no secret. Why am I finding this so funny? Because I really don't like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner in a big way. And for considering that I don't like his characterization on screen of Bruce Banner, it certainly doesn't help that the guy's a self-righteous fucking prick in real life. That doesn't make me warm up to the guy any, Well,
he's a male feminist, so it means you need to listen and believe and stop mansplaining, Polly.
Yes. I mean, Zelthor says Hulk is fine, though. Yeah.
I think the
film goes right downhill at that very point. As soon as Hulk reverts to Bruce Banner, right downhill. Because
the Hulk is CGI and they don't need an actor for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were talking about this. It's like principal photography on Avengers 4 Infinity War is finished. Ruffalo finished all of his principal photography and shot out all his scenes. So what is he being fired from? Like, this gets into some inside baseball Hollywood. Like, he's fired from the press junkets promoting it next year when it comes out. He's fired from MCU. I'm sorry?
Future MCU films.
Future MCU films as well, but they're not firing from the MCU. He's fired from this, which obviously means his future contract is canceled, but he's fired from this particular film. Now, they just finished some reshoots. Now, here's the positive thing. This is guesswork on my part, right? They just finished some reshoots, but he wasn't there for them. Do you think maybe they really curtailed his inclusion in the film?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, I think what they'll do is put more Hulk in and less of him.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, Jack Guninski. He's been hammered. He's been wrenched. Excuse me.
Hammer wrenched.
Yeah. Who else is Black Cat? You are wrenched. Just seeing if there's anybody that hasn't been wrenched yet. And Delahaye hasn't been wrenched. Jesus. There's all sorts of non-wrenchers rolling around in here.
You just dropping the ball, Polydub.
Yeah, I know. Well, you guys could do it too. You're moderators, can't you? Or am I the only one?
You're the only one. You're hosting.
You're the only one.
Wow.
It's your channel.
Well, I guess. I've said this before. The thing that I liked, God, Avengers 3 was a good film. Like Infinity War, it was so good.
Yeah.
Because hear me out. The reason why I thought it was so good is because it was unlikely that it was going to be good with as many simultaneous story threads as they were running in that film. It could have turned into a giant mixture clusterfuck because people criticize Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice as being there's too much in it. They should have pared it down, etc. And they're right. They're not wrong about that. There's way too much going on in that film. Okay? Look how much shit there was going on in Infinity War. And the Russo brothers still made it work. That's impressive. And the note that it ends on, that you managed to tug that many heartstrings, create that kind of level of drama in a major superhero film. Well done. Well done. That's why I think that film's really impressive.
For those of you that haven't seen it, it'll be on Netflix on Christmas Day.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, shit. Well, we know what a lot of people are going to be doing after Christmas dinner's done.
What, Christmas dinner? What do the Chinese restaurants have to do with it?
What are you, Jewish?
And then we see a glimpse into Jack's sad Christmas morning.
What are you talking about? It's awesome. There's a bunch of hot Asian chicks, lots of good food, and they're all like, oh, we work for a living. And I'm like, so you're not doing anything when you're done here. Who wants citizenship?
So Christmas night, you go out to a bass club? Is that what I was supposed to understand from what you just
No,
did?
that was my sexy porn sound effects.
You watch porn that has dubstep playing?
Why not? I'll watch any kind of porn. What are you talking about? I don't pay attention to the soundtrack. What a weird thing to listen to.
You pay attention of it enough to do a fucking impression of it.
We need to get back on track here, guys.
We are discussing adult entertainment that may or may not be related to comic books.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. The two criticisms that I will have of Infinity War are minor, but they're there. Too much Ruffalo, not enough Chris Evans. There should have been more Steve Rogers and less Bruce Banner.
My main complaint was that Captain America didn't have a shield.
Yeah, that's true.
He should have got that back instead of wearing those stupid insect shells on his hands.
But he may have been lacking a shield, but they gave him a beard and he looked awesome.
I don't care about that. He should have had the shield. That's iconic.
Didn't Cap die, though? Wasn't he one of the ones that got dusted?
No.
No.
All right.
Got dusted. Jesus.
What is it? Furniture in my house? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, it's dusting and accidentally wiped out half of the universe.
I was dusting and I accidentally got Captain America. Whoops.
Oopsie.
Jack Goninsky says, we need minimalist superhero movies. I agree. The scale of the story, not the film, but like in terms of production values, but the story, yeah.
That's partly the reason why I think the Dark Knight trilogy did so well. Because comparatively speaking, that one is fairly minimalist.
Well, that's true. That's why Universal horror movies have been failing lately. They're doing these big, grand things instead of small stories that affect a small group of people like they used to. Like when you saw the Mummy with Boris Karloff, it affected 5 people in that whole movie. Whereas this last one with Tom Cruise was like, the city is being attacked by a mummy, and now it's a woman. So
I did not see that movie because I dislike Tom Cruise in the best of movies. I almost always tune out Top Gun as soon as Anthony Edwards dies.
Really?
He was the only good thing in that movie. And Val Kilmer. Yeah, Val Kilmer.
Well, my point is that the movies shouldn't be big epic things every time. Sometimes it's good to have a small story. Look at Winter Soldier. It's a great example of that. It wasn't a big sprawling epic. It had a very straightforward, almost espionage spy kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
That there were stakes there and they were high, but they weren't earth-shattering, the planet's going to crack in half, and Galactus is going to lick the innards. Well, okay. 2 things I'm going to say about that. Man, I hope Avengers 4 has Galactus in it. That's the promise they haven't made that I'm hoping they're going to fulfill. I think they're going to put something in there because the rights have been secured for the other characters, so I think they're going to work somebody in that we haven't seen previously.
Wait, I thought that that Disney had not secured Fox yet.
Oh, I thought they did. I don't know.
The last thing that I heard on any of this was, I believe it was Ethan Van Sciver put out a video talking about it, about how Disney was in talks with a Chinese company to negotiate for Fox.
Okay, so we get Chinese knockoff Galactus. We'll call him Garactus.
Galactus. Oh, hello, Fantastic Four.
You are surprised I speak your language.
Your planet looks so lovely.
And delicious.
Look, Jack Koninsky says, I hated the Winter Soldier, prepares to defend self. Yeah, you better, motherfucker. That film was awesome.
Polly just completely missed all of our racist tirade.
Yeah, well, I did. I was actually responding to a text message I had to answer, and I just kind of like was vaguely listening, and I thought, "Fuck, are you guys talking about?" So I just cut back in.
It's better you don't know.
Yeah, just don't be surprised when you don't have a channel tomorrow.
Yeah, should I go back and listen to what the hell you guys are?
Nope.
Sons of bitches. I noticed you do this shit on my channel, but never on your own.
I don't even swear on mine.
I have a series on my channel called D&D with Shitlords. You think I have a filter?
No, we're aware that you don't. And speaking of this channel, if you happen to like what you're hearing here, although I'm not sure why you would, you can feel free to like and share. And by share, shoot it out to your friends on Twitter. Take the URL, and we would greatly appreciate it. Moving back on, what was our subject? You guys were being racist about something?
No, we were talking about a substitute Galactus. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh,
nothing weird.
Yeah,
nothing
no,
weird.
It's
okay. We were talking about what we were talking about was the scale of superhero films, and it would be, frankly, more. It would be hard to be more expansive and large scale than doing a story like Infinity War, where half the universe is going to die. Like, talk about big stakes, right? Mm-hmm. But as everybody says, and I think they're right to do so, the Marvel films kind of earn it in the sense that they build up to it. I mean, you think about it, Thanos is the after credits scene from Avengers, which was, what year was that? Years ago. Yeah. I mean, they're sort of building to it. And you have the idea that what Loki was involved in by stealing the Tesseract, which is, let's just call it what it is in the comics. He steals the cosmic cube and so forth. It's all related. And so this is sort of like building to it, this big danger, as opposed to establish the danger in one film and then defeat the danger in that very film. That's the problem with overexpansive scale and not being minimalist. And let's not act like the scale needs to be any larger than the protagonist or the protagonist's friends being in danger. Because if you care, and therefore there's drama when there's conflict and danger for them. The first Thor film, though really small scale, it's just threatening Thor only, really.
Well, and a small town in Nevada.
Right.
Yeah, nobody cares about Nevada.
When the destroyer shows up and stuff, that's it. That's the entire scale. But it still works. Iron Man, what? It's Tony Stark versus Ironmonger. That's it. Well, that's big enough because it's awesome. It doesn't always need to be the world is in danger.
That one is entirely based around the gravitas of Robert Downey Jr., whom is also one of these people that's exactly the same as Mark Ruffalo when it comes to his public image. But at the same time, he has the acting chops that Mark Ruffalo doesn't. He has the respect.
Oh, no kidding.
That Mark Ruffalo doesn't. He has, all of these.
Can you imagine a Ruffalo standalone Hulk film? Oh God.
It would be pretty awful. Yes.
It would be Halle Berry Catwoman over again.
Yes, it would.
I'm hoping that they do a Robert Downey Jr. multi-crossover where he plays the same characters he did in different movies. So we have Iron Man, Tony Stark, and then we have him playing the weird nerdy guy from Weird Science. And they combine the two movies, so we have Weird Science meets Iron Man. And
no, you know what I want to see for Robert Downey Jr. Mixing with Iron Man? Less than Zero.
Oh yeah, that'd be a party film, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, and I'll say you'd also have Iron Man going flat broke and sucking cock for coke.
That got dark quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did.
And if you've not seen Lesson Zero, by the way, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a downer.
It is. Robert Downey Jr. dies at the end of it.
Oh, hey, spoiler alert for a 30-year-old movie.
I was going to say for an 80s movie.
What?
You've never seen Less Than Zero?
No. I've seen Less Than Zero, the Bret Easton Ellis story.
I don't know about that. Hold on.
You mean the movie that Robert Downey Jr. was in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on a book by Bret Easton Ellis. Read. Yep.
I just know the movie, dude.
Reading.
Come on, Bret Easton Ellis, the guy who wrote American Psycho. Really, Quiz?
No, I knew that American Psycho was a book, but I haven't read the book.
Well, that author's actually written a whole number of books.
Okay.
Well,
my extent of those sort of pretentious authors that get books made with pretentious stuff like that is Chuck Palahniuk. That's my extent.
Oh yeah, Chuck's great. But we're not doing literary CC.
Hey, to bring it back into comics, and like I said before, we're getting back on track. Right. Chuck Palahniuk actually does have a follow-up to Fight Club, and it is exclusively a comic book.
Yeah, I read it. You recommended it, and I went and read it. Why haven't you pitched it on here? I'm sure lots of people would like to read the follow-up to Fight Club.
Well, I don't know it well enough to pitch it.
You haven't read it?
I have not read all of it.
Oh, don't you own it?
Yes, I have a physical copy of it.
Okay.
Dude, okay. No, if you looked at my comic book shelves, you'd understand.
Oh, man. Okay. Iron Science?
Yeah, doing a portmanteau or a mashup of Iron Man and Weird Science.
This guy asks, have you heard of Japan's take on Soupy?
I'm guessing Superman?
Yeah, you guys want to help me out with that? Do you know what Soupy is, gentlemen? I'm not aware of it. Oh, like as in Soupy as in Superman. Japan's take on Superman. You guys know about that? I don't.
One Punch Man?
I mean, I know One Punch Man, sure.
I don't know. Remember, we've got a little bit of a disconnect between the chat and us, Polly.
In what sense?
It's not like This Is Kyle can respond directly to you.
Oh, well, he can. No, he can. What? It'll just
be delayed.
It'll just be delayed. Rotten Corpse actually asked a while ago, so where would the first Deadpool movie fall? You know what? Okay, I watched the first Deadpool movie. I liked it. And then I was okay with it. Like, as in not seeing it again. And I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean I watched it and I was like, oh, that was cool. I enjoyed it. That was totally worth my $15. You know, like to see it in the theater. And that was it. Like I know some people just love it to death. The character's funny. He's interesting to me, but I don't fall over backwards when Deadpool shows up. That's just me. I'm not, and I don't criticize anyone for loving the character because I totally get why he's interesting. He's just not my favorite character. That's all. What do you guys think?
Deadpool is a great character. I love Deadpool. I thought the first movie was great. I remember Deadpool back when he was released in the New Mutants and was part of X-Force. But the major thing for that is there was a solo series for Deadpool actually written by Brian Posehn that I'm still trying to find. I don't have a copy of it, and I want to find it. Brian Posehn, for those who don't know, is a stand-up comedian. In my opinion, one of the funnier ones, too. I really like him. Yeah, if you play the character off as a sort of, comedian sort of level, like if it's written by a comedian or performed by a comedian, like with Ryan Reynolds, I think the character can come off well. Does that mean that every iteration of Deadpool is good, though? Fuck no.
I hate the character.
Really?
Absolutely hate him. Movies were fun. Fucking hate the comic book. Yeah. And I actually have a really good excuse for that.
Yeah?
Yeah, you don't want to hear it, but I have a good excuse for that.
Well, now I kind of do want to hear it.
Okay, so I had this roommate a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was around 99. And if he's listening, fuck you.
Okay.
He had a Deadpool costume, and he would wear it around the apartment. And he was not an evenly built man. And it was skin-tight fabric. So you could see everything.
Okay.
I mean everything. From his potbelly to his tiny junk.
So this piqued your latent homosexuality and you found it disturbing.
No. He would answer the door when the pizza guy came and he looked like he was going to rob the guy. And his girlfriend would come over and they'd cuddle on the couch reading Deadpool comics while he was dressed like Deadpool.
Hold on, I don't understand. I was trying to listen, but I'm typing in chat. I'm kind of listening to you. You're talking about his Deadpool costume, but it was very revealing in an uncomfortable way. Fair enough.
Well,
like he wasn't just wearing this to cons, like he was just wearing it around the house when getting
it was. So before this, he had a stormtrooper costume. So he dressed like an Imperial stormtrooper. It was made out of PVC plastic. He paid like $700 for it. And then he had to get like a unitard underneath for the black parts. And then he made a little gun and he made a little communicator thing so he could do a little robot voice. And my girlfriend came over. It was the first time she'd ever come over to the house. And I'm like, oh boy, sex at home. And she walks in the door and she sees him sitting on a chair watching Pokemon. And I walk in right behind her and I'm like, oh, fuck, he's home. And he's like, greetings, citizens.
Oh, my God.
Oh my
she
Lord.
just looked at me with this terror. She was a total normie. She doesn't understand nerd stuff. So we hurriedly go back to my room and she's like, oh my God, is it safe to be here? And I was like, not really. Is he dangerous? Yeah, probably. He's probably going to murder us. I don't know. But yeah, she broke up with me after the third time he did this crap.
Say, wait, did you? Okay, my belief is beggared at least a little bit. Did you actually say these things to her? Because if you were actually trying to get laid, that's not how you do it, my friend.
You have no idea how pissed off I was because I warned him about this. It's like, look, my girlfriend's coming over. Don't be weird. Don't dress up. Don't watch Pokemon. And that was pretty much his 3 highlights of personality. Be weird, dress like a stormtrooper freak, and watch cartoons. Not like normal cool cartoons like Batman the Animated Series. No, he was watching Pokemon. He looked like a total creeper.
Well, hold on. We got Pokemon fans in chat.
Well,
so just,
that's fine, but you're not dressed like stormtroopers watching it when your roommate's normie girlfriend comes over.
You're really stabbing one particular person in chat right now. I don't know if you realize that, but
I can't see chat, so I'm not sure.
No, you are, yeah.
Unintentionally, but okay. I have a question. Is beggared actually a word?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. My curiosity has been beggared.
We're educational here. We learn why I hate Deadpool indirectly because of some rando that has actually nothing to do with Deadpool, but he dances around. He in this weird lanky body with this strange drinking gut and his little junk going down to get the mail because we lived on like the 3rd floor and he'd go down to get the mail dressed like Deadpool.
Guys.
He would wear the Deadpool costume underneath his stormtrooper costume and then take it off.
Oh my God.
So it was like transforming in his secret costume.
Oh my God, I can just imagine the smell.
Do you understand that I have to write tags for this episode? Do you get that?
It's not my fault my life is weird and full of freaks. I told you I'm a freak magnet. And I was excited to live with this guy at first because he seemed really cool, and then it turned out he was just like a complete lunatic. He was like completely socially awkward. I thought he was just a little strange, and turns out he's like
What part of the costume was latex? Was that the Deadpool one?
No, it was a unitard. It started out with a black one, and then he got this spandex Deadpool costume that he would wear, underneath the stormtrooper costume, and because that's where the joints, they couldn't have hard plastic on your elbows and stuff. You'd never be able to move your arm. So he got a big unitard to wear, and then he swapped it out for the Deadpool costume so he could transform from a stormtrooper into Deadpool at a 5-minute notice.
Okay, I thought you had said latex, and I'm thinking like if he wears this a lot, doesn't take it off, and it has a big beer gut, he must have stank.
I might have misspoke. I meant spandex.
No, I was sort of half listening because I was trying to look up a tab.
That's okay. I get that a lot.
No, it's all right. Oh shit! This is Kyle did have a question after he retired.
He only showered like once a week too, as I recall. So
oh god,
Jesus. Yeah. So moving on from Jack's questionable choice and roommates. We this is Kyle had asked.
Okay, wait. I've got one quick question here, Jack.
This is only going to open another fucking trap, man. Don't do it.
Did he at least pay rent?
Yeah, most of the time.
Where did he work?
Better roommate than mine. All I gotta say.
He worked at like UPS or something. One of the FedEx, one of those. I don't remember. Can you
imagine being excited that your packages come? You open the door and there's fucking Deadpool, pot-bellied Deadpool waiting for you.
He would wear the Deadpool costume without the mask to work. Under his
god!
Yeah, he'd wear street clothes over it because in case of criminality emerging. And I was like, "You're weird. You're taking this a little too serious."
All right. So this is Kyle asks, have you ever heard of Japan's take on superheroes with the comic My Hero Academia?
No.
I've heard of it.
I've only heard of My Hero Academia, like vaguely. I can't comment on it, but it's come up enough times. I got to look it up, see what's going on there. Some of the weebs over in Discord have talked about it, and so I got to ask them maybe.
Yeah, people like Jacob really like it. Zelthor really likes it. I'm a reformed weeb. My weebishness ended in 2008. So
you go to meetings now,
I have a sponsor
for weebs.
I have a sponsor and everything. So
don't want to backslide into being a weeb.
Yeah.
Well, I just like this is Kyle, man. If Jacob likes it, man, you got questionable taste in things, man. Because that's
man, he's finally fucking firing back at Jacob. Okay.
No, Jacob's well aware of my disdain.
Oh, that's harsh, man. Jacob seems like a nice kid.
Really? Have you been reading his messages and tweets, man? That's like, okay, you may find him enjoyable and hilarious, but nice? Come on, man.
No, my standards are a little different because I'm bitter and surly.
Remember, Jacob is the guy who questioned this show. I don't know if you remember that. I remember
there were a long list of people questioning our choices here.
No. He didn't question the show. He questioned you, Polly.
No. He questioned us. He questioned us. He said, let's see how long they keep up with this for. Well, we're at episode 20. Episode 20. Yeah.
Which is longer than anyone expected.
That's right. It may never start at the same time, but we always have an episode at least once a week. Okay.
I'm pretty sure they got a pool going on how long we're going to last before we get Polly's channel taken down.
Is it a dead pool?
The Clint Eastwood movie? That would be awesome.
Yes.
Actually, this guy's got a good question. He's got lots of good questions. Like, what would Paulie consider as gay anime? Because I want to start that series called Anime That Ain't Gay and review like anime that I like, because I do like different anime and manga and stuff like that. But I don't know. I have a particular taste. Like as I've said on this show before, I like the period stuff, the Edo period stuff. So samurai, ninja, stuff like that. I think that's just a great vehicle to tell historical period stories from Japan's history. So big fan of Ninja Scroll and Samurai X, the whole series. I was a big fan of it. I even liked Basilisk, especially with sword related stuff and the whole mythos around the samurai. It just works out great. And as for what is gay anime, I don't know if I want to go calling out things particularly, man. I might piss some people off. So
I've seen Yokai Watch. It was funny.
Yokai Watch.
Yeah, it was some kid's cartoon. It's really funny. It's about a kid that can see ghosts. This magic watch.
Yeah, it's
like
it's
all I know is that somebody will mention an anime like over in Discord, and I'll be like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Don't worry, don't Google it." So of course I'm going to go Google it, right? Or DuckDuckGo in my case.
That's how you find the Ring video, Polly.
And
don't watch this video.
It's always like
You'll
the
die.
creepiest stuff in the world. Have I ever told you guys a story, at least on this show, of how I discovered what lolly was?
Oh my God! What?
Yeah, I didn't know what lolly was because I'm not a fucking weeb and I don't hear these terms.
Not
right?
go through enough porn. That's all I can.
No, I'm well, not weird, creepy, possibly, or should be illegal porn. No, listen.
Do you not get the reference about what it is?
Well, I do now.
Where lolly comes from Lolita.
He thought of lollipops
because here's what happened. Okay, look, it's a real short story. I'm sitting there over in Discord, somebody mentions lolly, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" And they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it." And nobody really got very excited over it. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, fuck it." I opened another tab and I forgot that I had safe search turned off. And I went into DuckDuckGo search and typed in lolly anime enter. Oh my God. My retina. I was just like, ah! And everyone starts laughing. What the hell was that noise? And I said, I just searched for lolly and I had the safe search turned off. And everyone breaks out laughing. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Polly just burned his eyes out. I mean, it was fucking nightmarish, man. So yeah, you can go some pretty weird places.
Okay, Richard Art, do not take his suggestion there.
Okay, so
Boki no Pico. I take it that's something I shouldn't go watch.
It's actually Boku no Pico. Okay. And no, it's not. It is. If you thought lolly will burn your retinas.
And then your mother walked in, and your grandmother.
There's this really amazing kinetic typography where this dude talks about watching Boku no Pico, and it's reposted on 4chan like regularly on 4chan's F. I'll link you to it. It's worth watching his reaction to it. But you don't need to see it.
Okay, so now here's the thing. When Peter said we call candies lollies, and I didn't know that until I was talking to Far and Peter, that yeah, lollipops are just called lollies, like or suckers are just called lollies.
Yeah.
There. And I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense, right? And that's where I thought it was originally from. And people say, no, it's what Lolita, like, or from Lolita. And I'm like, yeah, but Lolita's like a 13 to 15, I forget, year old girl. That's not what I saw on that image search, man. That wasn't no 15-year-old.
A lot of them actually are supposed to be like 13 and 15-year-old, but some of them, draw them much, much younger.
Creepy.
Now, to circle back off of the creeper subject here,
please do.
We because you guys are just digging a hole here, and I'm not going to help you.
And lolly will not appear in the tags, gentlemen.
God, I hope not. We were asked about like superheroes, something about Japanese superheroes, and it led to My Hero Academia.
Yeah, Academia, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's not forget they had other heroes as well in Japan. I linked a moment ago to the opening of the 1978 Spider-Man show that took place in Japan.
That I've seen.
Where he had a Zord.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about Kabuki Man?
Oh, that was a trauma film. That wasn't actually Asian.
Oh, I thought it was actually filmed in Japan.
No, that was filmed in New York with a bunch of stock footage from Trauma.
Okay.
The great stories behind that one, though. That was a funny. You should read Lloyd Kaufman's books on how to make your own damn movie, I think it's called. It's hilarious.
Lloyd Kaufman is just a funny dude.
Okay, you know what, gentlemen, Fat Platypus has a great point here. I remember when comic book curation was about comics? Those were the days. Yes.
I was just talking about Spider-Man.
Well, you started talking about trauma films, and I don't want to go there. So, look.
Okay.
There was something, there's a point that I didn't want to raise. Okay.
Oh, no.
If you go back 9 or 10, maybe 15 topics, we were talking about Marvel Universe. Okay. And there's if you think about it, this is a point for me. Ruffalo got fired. Yay. And
Yeah.
it was possible that that guy was going to get a standalone film. And you don't think so? Oh, I think so. Because if you think about it, the original Avengers cast, who's left? Because Chris Evans is hinted again and again, he's done with the Steve Rogers character. And as sort of like sad as that is, because I am a big fan of Chris Evans playing Steve Rogers. He does a great job, but he had a great run with the character. He's done a whole crap ton of movies with him. He's been doing it for like 10 years. I can understand him wanting to move on. You had a great run. Now it's time to call it a role. Like that was a role I did, past tense. Fair enough. Robert Downey Jr., same thing. The guy's got, more money than Croesus. Like he's doing fine. You know what I mean? And he's had a great run with the character. Same thing as Chris Evans. I can understand it. So you got like what? Mark Ruffalo? Well, thank God he's gone, because other than him, you got Chris Hemsworth. He's not really interested in doing very many more things.
Too. His contract's up.
Yeah. So he's, and again, great run with the character. People enjoyed it. So who's left? You got Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson.
And Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
Jeremy Renner's still got 1 or 2 movies.
Yeah, and I love me some Jeremy Renner.
That's why he wasn't in the last Infinity War.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see more Hawkeye, and hopefully they won't replace him with like female Hawkeye.
Oh, Kate Bishop is coming.
No, I don't know that.
She's coming with America Chavez and Kamala Khan in the second wave of the all-new female MCU, and we can all see it burn to the ground.
Wait. Quiz has a point, because rumor has it he's playing Ronin instead of Hawkeye. So they might be working in Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. Because remember, there's a time jump here of like 5 or 10 years. Because Ant-Man.
I just need to post that GIF of Elmo with his arms out and the fire in the background, because this is how I feel right now. I'm predicting the burning of a world.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right, though, because they've already said there's going to be a period of time that's passed from the end of the last movie to the beginning of the new one, and that's because of Ant-Man being in the quantum realm.
Enjoy, people.
What? Okay. So the reason that I brought this up is the only 2 characters left are Hulk, Ruffalo, and Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson. This explains a lot that people are completely misunderstanding about what's going on with the standalone Black Widow film, which has started into pre-production, and Scarlett Johansson has been secured, and she signed the contract for a reported $15 million. Now that puts her at, like, that's a lot of fucking money, and that puts her at the same paycheck level as Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, and a little bit less than Robert Downey Jr., but that guy was like the center of things. And the reporting that's going on around this, and I wish people would get a fucking clue, is it's like, finally the woman is getting her own standalone film, and what's more important, she's getting paid what the men are getting paid. Like, I'm looking at an article right now on Up Rocks written by Kimberly Ricci and her.
Oh God.
It's like, for 2010's Iron Man film, Scarlett Johansson was reportedly offered $250,000 and negotiated it up to $400,000 to play Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow. Since then, she's reprised the role in a number of other films I won't list off here. Okay. The female superhero is finally, and then in parentheses, finally getting her own standalone film. After arguably Captain Marvel cut in line. That's due to arrive in 2020. It looks like Scarlett Johansson is receiving a paycheck to match some of her male Avengers. Like, okay, you're missing the point. Like, you're missing the actual story. Black Widow is not a large of a character, like, in terms of like the cultural awareness of the character, as Captain America is, as Iron Man is, as Thor is. These are much more iconic, and they just are, than Black Widow. It's not about her being a woman. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just Natasha Romanoff is a much more here and there character in Marvel Comics, and she never reached that kind of iconic status, even though she's a long-standing character. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson's a huge name as an actor, no question, but it's the ability to put butts in seats that's really the question. That's why the lead, not the male lead, is getting the big money. It's the protagonist. Mark Ruffalo doing a standalone film would probably have got offered that, but he's fired now. Who's left from the original Marvel cast that's still willing to do films? It's not Hemsworth, it's not Downey, Robert Downey Jr., and it's not Chris Evans. So who's left? Scarlett Johansson's the only viable actor to be able to offer that. So she was able to negotiate up to 15 mil, not because she's a wily woman that's finally getting what she deserves, but because she's a viable actress to play a role that's the only one left that's still interested in playing the role.
I love how your Valley Girl there is, it sounds exactly like diversity in comics. Keep it up.
Yeah. It's a really fun voice to do, too. But I think you're overlooking two important people, Sam Jackson and Agent Coulson. And I sense a buddy cop film in the making.
Yeah.
Where Nick Fury and Agent Coulson go on a wacky adventure.
Actually,
Bless you.
Peter just brought up a point that a lot of people, and I can understand, easily miss, is that Johnny Storm in the two Fantastic Four films, yeah, that's Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm. Absolutely.
Yep.
And then, of course, playing Steve Rogers / Captain America and all the Captain America and Avengers films. And it's, yeah, I can totally understand why you didn't see that. I didn't either. I had seen both Fantastic Four films. And then when I saw Captain America, I just didn't clue in because he's an actor, and who's actually of some skill. And he plays, well, the only difference is that he has his head shaved, like a real close haircut in the Fantastic Four films. The difference is that he's playing a young, womanizing, not too bright, quippy kind of guy. That's not who Steve Rogers is at all. Steve Rogers is more introverted. He's more serious. He has a straight face most of the time. There's an earnestness about him. And Chris Evans, because he's a competent actor, is able to bring that through. So you just don't recognize it as being the same guy. Scarlett Johansson, pay attention. Stop phoning your roles in. You always have the same look on your face. It's either sultry, hey kind of look, or
Ew.
I'm angry face, which means her eyebrows slightly curve in.
Well, at least it's not like Kristen Stewart, who literally only has one facial expression.
No, see, Scarlett Johansson doesn't have facial expressions. She has moon phases. Look at her from the side. She looks like Jay Leno face. That weird Mac the Knife look.
I love this. Jack Godinsky says, Black Widow movie, a.k.a. 90-pound woman, 90 pounds? Scarlett Johansson ain't no 90 pounds, bro. Them thighs alone are 90 pounds.
Yeah, those
and I'm like,
sacks of ham she's got in her thighs. Ugh.
Well, and that might have sounded like cussing. It's not. If you haven't seen the fappening pictures of Scarlett Johansson, I'm all about the thick women's. And I'm not complaining. I say that with handfuls of affection.
Thigh gap is love gap.
Enough with your thigh gap.
No,
crap.
No,
I'm the one that usually, goes off about the thigh gap. So,
It's the real gap. The wage gap is a myth. The thigh gap is love.
Yes, I agree.
Thigh gap is love.
I'm going to put that on a greeting card and send it to my next girlfriend.
Put that on a shirt.
We've been running for 67 minutes, and Quiz has a story for us, so we're going to try and stay on topic.
I like how you try and divert things back. It's very cute.
Well, I love how he also throws me under the bus about it, too.
I can do a tab right now if you want to, if you don't have it ready.
I'm fine with it.
See, Ron Corpse, he loves buddy cop films, too.
One of the things that has happened here recently is that DC... now,
hold on. Sorry, Zelthor has a thigh gap. That's great for you to announce that.
Okay.
It says, I have a love gap. I'm alone. Help me. Really, Zelthor? It's brave of you to admit that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, so I'm sure people have realized it by now, but I'm kind of a DC apologist. I probably permit a lot more things from DC than I would for Marvel, mainly because DC hasn't stabbed me in the back like Marvel has. But that can change. Brianna, or no, not Brianna Wu. Fucking hell.
Was there a story in here somewhere that you were going to cover?
These names are all like blending together. Fucking Zoe Quinn getting her own comic is one. But no, they did something recently that is worthy of an eyebrow raise. And I'll cover it here in a second. Let me just do.
You said you're ready. You lied.
Share. I'm trying to screen share, but I'm also on a potato, Polly.
Yeah, that's something that we should be thankful. Quiz is not in his regular recording area. He is currently elsewhere and decided to beam in anyway. So we appreciate that.
Yes. So apparently here, Detective Comics 1 through 26 reprinted at last, plus a shocking revelation, which will rewrite DC history. The long and short of it here is from Bleeding Cool, so you know it's garbage. There was this planned, right? It's from April 1937. This is the before Batman Detective Comics. Okay, so the one thing that people don't really know about Batman, and unless they're really inundated with comics, is that Batman started off in a title called Detective Comics. Detective Comics was not always about Batman. Batman was a character that they introduced after Detective Comics had already kind of had several issues out. Help me out, Jack. Do you remember exactly which issue Batman first showed up in?
Detective 27.
27. So
Boom,
there were 26 issues that came out before Batman that were Detective Comics. Okay, and then afterwards, I think they did a little bit of stuff not with Batman and Detective Comics, but he kind of became the mainstay of Detective Comics, and then Detective Comics became Batman. Just period.
Well, much like Action Comics, there were multiple stories in one issue.
Yeah,
so it was like
it was a little bit like a pulp magazine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a variety.
So, like I said, like this says right here, before Batman, right? Well, that means that it's those 26 issues. And apparently, this is the sort of problem that a lot of people are having with these sorts of things nowadays. It's all about trying to rewrite history, not wanting to have the same sort of view on the past as was, when these things were written. They want to use the lens of the modern day for what was written back then. So of course they have things like, they have caricatures of Chinese people that might be considered offensive nowadays, and to cover their ass from potential outrage, DC has decided to not release this book because it could be misconstrued that way. This is the age where people are tearing down Confederate general statues. Do you think that DC is going to be able to survive if they put something out like that? So I can see why they would do it. It's still disappointing that they have.
When you look at the mock-up of the collected edition with its own sleeve and everything, and I don't know, it's lamentable, I guess.
Yeah, I would so fucking buy that.
Yeah,
that would go on my shelf, man.
I mean, that's you get a lot of people talking about that. It's like, oh, come on, how many issues is that going to sell? Like, of different things. And it's like the collector market, because the people that are doing this kind of marketing at the big two are aware of where you come up with prestige format stuff, not prestige format, but enhanced format stuff, that it's you're marketing to a given segment of the audience that are going to be interested in buying something like that, and it's kind of guaranteed to sell because usually it's limited edition, and that's also an incentive to buy and so forth. The idea that, I don't know, you said you can kind of understand it. I guess there's a reason that I put it in the description as a possibly potential non-problem, or however I said it. It's because there's this concern that somebody might get a view of, get a look at it. And I mean, isn't that the thing? People that had no interest in buying it, don't buy comic books at all, are going to get a fucking bee in their bonnet and get all pissed off over it.
Yeah,
and
it's the moral outrage, the how dare you culture, and it's really infuriating because it's denying us something really cool all because someone who's going to be mad about something anyway is going to be mad about something. Fuck them.
Well, and how are you supposed to learn the lessons of history about what happened?
And say, did he cut out for you too, Polly?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
Yes.
son of a...
I'm sorry, Jack.
He cut out right at the square. How perfect was that? Oh, son of a...
Yeah. Son of a...
No, I didn't finish the sentence. I just...
okay.
Okay.
Angry. No, how are you supposed to learn about the past if you're not allowed to read the past?
Yeah, if you're not allowed to know about it, how are you supposed to learn from it? Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing that when the whole statue coming down thing was really in full swing a couple of summers ago, that was pissing me off. I'm all like, you do realize that if you don't have any sort of way of learning or memorializing these sort of things that happened in the past, then you're going to have people that are ignorant of it and doing the exact same thing.
The reason that I would argue that it's sort of like, I understand your point about the Confederate statues, and it kind of makes sense, but at the same point, like, just to kind of offer a perspective on it, is that the response commonly given to, tearing down the past, this is a bad idea to tear down the past. And it's like, no, it belongs in a museum, not lauded in a central public circle in this way, as if you're extolling what they're doing. This was the response to the Confederate statues, right? And it's like, no, that, in my opinion, is nothing but a talking point. You are intending on tearing down history. And how do I know? Because the same people who want to tear down that history and pretend that they just want it in a museum will also argue and bitch and whine on the sewer that is Twitter about Detective Comics pre-Batman being published.
Yeah.
And they will have a separate talking point for that. But then champion Ta-Nehisi Coates with his barely concealed fucking racism left, right, and center. When he writes comics, it's barely concealed. When he writes his own books, it's just front and center. That guy's racist as fuck.
Oh yeah, he's extremely anti-white racist. Yes,
let's give him Captain America to write, because that makes sense and shows how virtuous we are. To me, it's not as I guess the facetious answer was like, Jack, when you said, how are you supposed to learn from the past? To facetiously respond to that, it would be like, no, you're supposed to learn a progression because it was bad when they did it. Now we've moved to a progressive new standard of allowing like black racists to write comics, so things are good now.
We're good when we allow black people to be racist. So
what gets
how about no one be racist? How about that?
No, that would imply a principle that stands behind it, not just self-serving garbage.
Well, one of the issues they're complaining about is what's called the yellow peril. It's the caricatures of Asians.
Yeah.
But if you really go back and look at comics from even the 60s, they were still doing some of this stuff. And like Shang-Chi's dad was Fu Manchu. And Fu Manchu was a pretty big stereotype. Plus, Marvel doesn't own that character. So,
really,
you would, that was a licensed thing.
Didn't know that. Okay,
yeah, but you have to eliminate a lot of different events throughout comic history, and that would actually, by canceling this, they're suggesting to other people, "Hey, this is risky. Don't reprint this." So we're going to lose other books because of this. It's not just going to be this. They never stop at one. It always snowballs into something bigger. It starts with this, then it's going to be some minor thing later, as after they get all the other Asian caricatures out. They're going to get rid of Iron Fist because he's a white guy doing martial arts, and that, even though that saying that is really incredibly racist on their part, but that was the argument against the TV show. We're going to see that with reprints of that next. Stuff like that, little stuff. And then it becomes bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, going down this particular alley, it reminds me that we're at 78 minutes, and it's probably time to move on to another subject. We got, and actually makes me think, Jack, we should cover our mutual anger towards the intellectual property racketeers that are out there. We should do that for next week's show.
Oh, okay.
That's the name that I've given them, the IP racketeers. I want to hear about the Fu Manchu thing. That's what reminded me of it, because I'm willing to bet there's somebody out there that owns the name, and I want to talk about the Tarzan thing that you were telling me about. And so there's a little sneak preview. There's people out there that racketeer over their ownership. That's what I think of it as racketeering anyway.
Wait till you hear me complain about Captain Marvel.
It's an interesting story, Chad, of the people that own and so
Captain Marvel.
Exactly. There's only one, and he says Shazam.
Thank you.
And their ownership of either a name or a piece of a character or a representation of a character, or don't even own something, but through aggressive legal wrangling, make people think that they do. Man, and that's why they're profiteering pimps, or IP racketeers, as I like to call them. And there's a whole slew of them. So there's a sneak peek for what we'll handle on. We'll get into that on the next.
Curation. You people will be in for a treat. I got my ear like pretty much bitten off by Polly about this on Discord the other night. So yeah.
You did?
Yeah, about James Bond.
Oh. I wasn't trying to bite your ear off.
No, it was good. I liked it.
Right,
that just made it sound like we were doing some verbal BDSM or something. You know, it was good. I liked it.
I'm just picturing Polly as Mike Tyson biting off your ear like your Holyfield. Well,
so
kind of creeped out.
I have a question. Who's in the mood for a comic book full of female ass where Jesus Christ fights Zeus?
What?
Oh, God. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I know. Hard right turn, right? Okay.
Quiz. Somebody broke Polly.
No. I give you the Goddessy.
Wait. Hold on. I can't see this. Oh, wait. Okay, no, this is okay. Never mind.
Brought to us by the brilliant mind of Rob Liefeld. Because who else?
Yeah. No, you mentioned this one to me too before.
This. I was talking about this the other night in Discord. Where some of the things that I just mentioned were in it, and people were like, "What?" And I'm like, "This is an infamous comic. You guys have never heard of this?" Jack, have you heard of this?
It looks vaguely familiar, but I never read it.
Well, every Liefeld drawing looks vaguely familiar because
I'd probably pass this in a 25-cent box somewhere.
Yeah, like I mean, women don't need spines.
Spines are patriarchy.
Like I don't care about idealized images of men, women. I don't care. Like isn't that the whole point, that they're supposed to be spectacular specimens of athleticism or what have you?
Yeah.
But this drawing's just weird. Like it's not that it's misogynist or blah blah blah. It's just weird. Like, look at that woman. That doesn't look sexy. It just looks fucked up. You know, thanks, Liefeld.
I maintain that he can't draw. Or he has like epileptic seizures that end up looking like drawings.
Yeah. So this story, this is actually only it's created by Liefeld. Both characters within it, one by the name of Gloria, another one by Evangeline, are both Rob Liefeld creations. But only the cover is drawn by Liefeld. But the interior artist clearly follows in the Liefeldian style, to give it a name. But this cover tells you everything you need to know. Babes for no reason that are totally pin-up drawn, because Liefeld, right? All he does is really pin-up art that he pretends is sequential art. And you got a bunch of crucifixes in the background. So, makes sense, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Right.
No, wait. I want to see the panel in question, dude. I have to see this. We'll
get there. We're having fun. Let's just enjoy it.
Well, yeah, no.
Evangeline is I would have kind of liked to know the background, but I don't have enough time and frankly interest to do the kind of oral history that would be required inside of the Spawn universe, Todd McFarlane's Spawn world. And the whole thing about Image Comics, that a bunch of artists, creators separated from Marvel Comics and other comic companies back in the day and formed in the early 90s and formed Image Comics, which was very successful for a short time. And then, things happened, and we'll get into that later. One of the ideas of Image Comics is that all of the characters were going to be, they're not going to be standalone series. All these creators would create original properties and original series, but they would all be part of a shared universe in the same kind of way that the DC universe all happens together and the Marvel universe all happens together, where the characters can interact. I am always in part of Spawn's thing, this idea of the war between heaven and hell. It's a long-standing thing inside of Spawn, and the idea is that Al Simmons was recruited to be Hellspawn, the leader of Hell's army. I have never been certain as to what's going on, whether he borrowed ideas from Liefeld or was trying to incorporate them, or Liefeld just straight ripped off the elements of Todd McFarlane's Spawn world and just pretended they were his own creations. Evangeline is supposed to be a former angel in Heaven's army that uses her powers. Like now she's like a mercenary, sort of like a metaphysical mercenary that goes after escapees and random demons and such. And her powers, she can use them by quoting verses from the Bible. It's really stupid. And Glory, in short, is a Wonder Woman ripoff. She's a woman from, I forget where she's from. She's an Amazonian or something. Like, she's just a really bad Wonder Woman ripoff. So we get into this comic, and yes, here's where it starts. Jesus is on the cross.
He's ripped.
He's ripped as fuck, but wait till you see what he does with his musculature. So here he is on the cross, and he's suffering, and there's badly used quotes from the New Testament going on here, et cetera, et cetera. And lo and behold, the Olympian gods are standing there watching for some reason.
Because why not?
I was just like looking through this before we went live here, and I have a real hard time reading this font, so you guys are gonna have to be patient with me. But it's like, here's Zeus, right, in his big, powerful stentorian voice. Behold, Mount Olympus, let us gaze upon this pathetic creature who calls himself a god. Almighty Zeus, if he is a god, why does he allow himself to suffer on the whim of mankind? Because he is a fool, Apollo. A fool who covets man as a father covets his children. Like, really? Is this happen? Like, this is... And it's not even a parody comic. This is, like, legit. So well, Jesus, hearing this, he gets angry. He pulls his hands and feet from the nails and jumps down from the cross. And it's Kung Fu time. He starts beating the shit out of the Olympian gods.
Well, yeah, of course. You know what? I got another great comic book idea quiz.
Please tell me he uses his crown of thorns as a garrote or something.
Throws it like some kind of like Tron disc, you know?
Well, I'm glad we're all on the same page on that.
I had to mess with the settings in CD display to make sure I could get the 2-pager going on, because you have to appreciate it in all its glory, quote unquote. This is my favorite panel right here. It's the kick, motherfucker. And look at this reverse punch he gives Hercules. Whack! Jesus doesn't even have to look. He just knows he's back there. This is, I guess we could go down the road of, this is offensive. This is, lots of different things.
I'm gonna
buy this. Yes.
You know what? I'm no one you would call a deeply devout Christian, but I find this proxy offensive because it's just so stupid. Like, you didn't even try to be offensive. This is offensive on a retarded level. Like, you know what I mean?
This is middle school edgy humor. Like, he's like 12-year-old, like, he. You know what'll be really cool? I can own the Republicans with this.
So, the fight's not going well, and he knocks the fuck out of what's his name here? Poseidon. Be not content in thy victories, lamb. Thee hast yet to defeat the Poseidon's trident, and whack, just knocks him away with one fist. And of course,
who calls somebody lamb? That's creepy. That's like some overprotective boyfriend calls his girlfriend that isn't allowed to touch phones or make eye contact with other men. Yes, lamb, we shall go out today, but only to the store, and you shall remain in the car in the back.
What I would suggest that this is so emblematic of the Liefeldian style right here is a complete inability. This isn't Liefeld who drew this, but of course, after the Liefeldian style, because he did the plotting and so forth. Liefeld did the plotting. Take a look at every spot where, full air quotes here, Jesus, he's standing in a pose, right? Showing off how badass his muscles are. When he's engaged in an action, he's still standing in a pose, showing off how badass his muscles are. We go down to the bottom. There he is, standing in a pose, showing off how badass muscles are. We go down to the bottom one, and again, same thing. See the pattern? It's just all that you can do is poses, and every woman is always standing in a pose. I love comic book cheesecake. I love sexy comic book girls. If you've ever seen a thumbnail, it's obvious. But I mean, this style of art is just bad because it's not good at sequential storytelling. What is happening in between A and B here? It's
they're glaring at each other menacingly.
Because so you got him rushing him with his trident, right? So what? How did he get over to his left here? And then what's he like? What? Like it's just bad.
Okay,
it's Clud, Polly.
It's Clud. Yes.
To be fair, look at the top left panel. His hand is healed, so obviously
he doesn't have the stigmata. Yeah,
good point.
And he's standing that way because his feet hurt because there was a nail in them 10 minutes ago. And that's why he moved to the other side to let Poseidon or Aquaman, whoever that's supposed to be, come around the other way because he was using his super regenerative powers.
Poseidon or Aquaman. It could be Namor. You don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a trident, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
It could be Merman from He-Man.
Zeus has had it, basically, because, you know, the entire Olympian contingent, except for sexy lady back here, which could be anyone, really.
Yeah.
You know, he states, "Thou hast proven thyself a worthy opponent." He's talking to Jesus. I want you to keep that in mind. Proving yourself you've proven yourself a worthy opponent. But
no, Cassie, I like to think this is canon, but Jesus was too humble to put it in his own book.
No, I got it. I figured it out. Between the first and second panel, he was turning the other cheek.
That's why he's on the other side.
Yes.
He turned the other cheek and then said, "No, he's got a weapon. Fuck it," and hit him.
Yeah, exactly. He turned to his fighting cheek.
I'm trying to fight my way through this, you know, quasi Greek font. I guess that's what they're supposed to be going here. But can thou surmount true power? Does thee have the whatever? Fuck you is what he's saying. You know, it goes, "Dost thou defy me?" and so forth. You know, I will make you. Hold on. "Any man has ever known, thou shalt know unending torment until thou speaks and proclaims man's insignificance." And so they rush. "Never so thy tongue remains." And they're rushing at each other like, I don't know, like two vampires in Twilight, the way they always ran at each other in films to fight. And what happens? Oh, it was all a dream.
Was it though? I wish we'd learned about this in Catechism.
It was, and it wasn't, because it's like, this is Evangeline in bed, and she's like, "Goodness, what a horrible dream. I can't imagine what would make me conjure such images as the Lord Jesus Christ battling the gods of Olympus." So Evangeline, who's left heaven and has forsaken all of that, is still declaring Jesus to be her. This is like, don't look. People love talking about how Rob Liefeld is a horrible artist. It's an online meme at this point because it's been so repeated what a terrible artist he is. I would offer for your consideration, he is far worse of a storyteller than he is an artist.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
I'm calling that one. All right.
No, we can fight that out. But just let me continue on with the story here, because she's like, "Evangeline," and she goes, "Gasp. Glory, you startled me. I'm sorry for this intrusion, but we have a problem." "What is it?" "I thought tonight you dreamt of a battle between gods. Did you not?" And this is the idea. It wasn't really a dream, that the gods are battling, hence the title of the book, Goddessy, right? There's an ongoing fight, and Christianity is part of this god epic. Like, well done, Rob. Nice thinking, dumbass. "How did you know that?" And I love this line. put on this armor, and I'll tell you what little I know. Look at the armor. I love this because who doesn't want a stainless steel thong? This is lazy cheesecake. And what do I mean by that? Because she's wearing more clothes in bed than she is when she's fully armored. There's nothing wrong with showing a sexy comic book lady like in like a skin tight fighting outfit or getting her in and out of a shower or in an exercise scene or whatever. There's 1,000 ways you can show cheesecake. This is lazy cheesecake. This is like cheese whiz cake. It's
oh God. It's no.
I tried thinking of the worst kind of cheese I could. I don't know. That's all I could come up with on the fly.
Oh, that's gross.
So you know what? They go into this. Oh, look, gee, that's great.
Let's see. Chaos said she wants some stainless steel thong.
Well,
I mean, I'm okay with this.
No,
with this
come on. I ask you to think. How comfortable would these stainless steel thongs be? There's a million and one jokes. There's a million and one jokes that go around online about like how female costumes can be so skimpy. Yeah, but I defy you to show me one of them that wouldn't be comfortable because they're always like skin tight stuff. Well, yeah, you can be like acrobatic in it. Have you ever seen a gymnast in their clothes? They're wearing like skin tight onesies so they can move around and jump and spin and all this other shit. It makes sense. Come on, a piece of fucking steel wedged in your crotch. I don't care who you are. That's uncomfortable. Even if you are Evangeline or Glory.
Some people pay extra for that.
And these, I'm just going to put this out there for being a fan of the thickness. Guys, you get your thigh gaps, but there's no fat butts here. Like these are not shapely women. They're just skinny bitches.
Well, Glory's kind of, I don't know. She's kind of shapely. She got some bubble on her butt. Evangeline don't, but
so the point in this comic is just like show butts, and this terrible crossover between Christian theology and Greek mythology, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Oh yeah, here's I
agree with Mustafa Swiggity Spooty.
Well, there's their mother, you know. So you see where they get it from, right? See, this is actually
hi, Mom.
Well, yeah, this is a costume that actually makes sense because one, it doesn't really strike me as armor. It strikes me more as like a getup, if you know what I mean. Like it. Anyway. Oh, look, butts. So again, I am not against cheesecake. It might sound like I am. It's just this is cheese whiz cake. This is the laziest shit you can do.
The reason I got into comic books, Polly, is boobs and titties and butts.
Yeah, but give me some Jim Lee scantily clad hotness. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give me Savage Land Rogue any day of the week over this. This is just lazy.
Okay, I would like to put forth some images that will make this look like a masterpiece of Leonardo da Vinci. Some real Rob Liefeld art. Let me just see if I can share here.
Oh, all right.
Let's go over all right. I want you to look at this. Like, there's a face floating here. Can you see that? And look at what happened to Cap's face. Now, nobody has cheeks. They're all like doing some sort of. He's pooping, I think. But look at those cheek lines. And now we go to the next one. What is happening? Look at these man boobs.
Everybody knows the Captain America picture. It's legendary, but I still submit.
How about these cod pieces on these women?
I'm saying his storytelling is worse than that.
No, I'm sorry. This is not even remotely functional. It's like she fell on an ironing board. And Nick Fury looks just like Cable. See? They got the same eye problem.
Oh, well, he's a master at
same head design, same widow's peak, the exact same hair. That's all I'm saying. Plus, look at this. He's making that face because he's like, what happened to me?
Well, I still offer the same opinion on this Captain America thing. I said this the other night in Discord. I think that legendarily bad Captain America picture is the result of a deadline. Because as bad as Rob Liefeld is at drawing shit and bad as he is at understanding like believable, even hyped up and idealized anatomy, he must have seen how retarded that looked. He just ran out of time and he had to get it off. That's my guess.
Well, get it off. No, the thing that gets me about it, what I think actually happened is that he scrapped 3 or 4 drawings. That looks like a smashed together drawing. He like the deltoid, perfectly on model. The side profile of his chest on profile. Problem is, or the head on profile. The problem is that all 3 of those bits were for 3 separate drawings, and they were all smashed together.
That's horrifying. It's some sort of Frankenstein's monster.
It is, yes, and it's horrifying. But yes, that I think is what happened. Not only was he on a deadline, but he was trying to do something better and was failing at it, and took 3 separate drawings, Frankenstein them together, and then gave them in, handed them in.
Okay, let's jump back to the Goddessy, mostly so I'll be justified in having boobs, tits, and ass in the tags.
Fair enough.
When we last left our heroes, air quotes, Evangeline and Glory, they had gone to Mount Olympus to find out what the fuck, like what's going on with Zeus and why is he planning this war of the gods and so forth, right? And here they are posing, because that's what women do in every Liefeld style comic. They just stand there.
Isn't Glory supposed to be a fucking warrior or something? Why was she standing all demure?
We've been over this. There's no way to I mean, and Jesus doesn't stand like a fucking kung fu fighter either. I mean, whatever.
You don't know that.
My Jesus does.
You have no historical evidence that he did not know Shaolin Kung Fu.
Well, so in any case,
master.
In any case, they're on there discussing what are we going to do, and it's time to get this, and like they confront Zeus. What's up? And the other Olympian gods jump out to fight them. Of course, they make short work of them, and chud clank. You get it. But my favorite part happens here in this fight when Hercules comes up from behind and says, "Don't struggle. None can defy the strength of Hercules. Aye, ye are indeed a beautiful wench. Ye would find my bedchamber a more preferable arena." And she says, "No, thank you," and headbutts him and knocks him back. I'm assuming that's what's happening. There's some kind of headbutt here, because this is really just,
with the back of the head. That's a terrible form.
Well, no, she used her anti-patriarchal power to decolonize his strength.
I love the faux old timey language, a, ye, thou, and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Ye spurn Hercules, then suffer they fate." Oh, God.
They fate?
Yeah. And are you sure that Rob Liefeld is a worse artist than he is a writer? They fate. He fucked up in the middle of his own comic, and none of the editors, and I think he's his own editor, caught that. Then suffer they fate. I think he meant then suffer the fate. Like the fate. Thy fate. Sure.
Yeah.
It's so, and he grabs a pillar, rips it out, smashes it, which creates a giant fissure in the ground that starts sucking people in. And you've got a problem with Jim Lee's oversized biceps. I ask you to take a look at Hercules' bicep right here.
That's just as bad as the cat drawing.
So he knocks her down, and she's supposedly knocked out here, but of course she still looks hot, because come on.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like when someone has massive brain injuries. They've got their lips all pouty.
And Glory.
I'd like to point out that Polly just said an unconscious woman looked hot.
Well, he does talk a lot about lewds.
I enjoyed our little comic book stream for as long as it lasted.
You're just doing a Bill Cosby impersonation. It's cool.
Okay. So anyway, Glory gets involved and knocks back Hercules here, right? Zeus jumps in. Now, here's the interesting thing. She's about to die because Zeus is going to get involved and hit her with a thunderbolt, right? And she goes, "No, she won't die," and pushes her out of the way. Evangeline pushes Glory out of the way, but she takes a thunderbolt herself, and it's like, Evangeline, no, it can't be. She's dead. To be continued. Okay, that was it. There's only ever one issue of this comic. That's it.
Seriously?
I'm deadly serious. Yes.
This is the best. This is the best comic ever. This needs its own trade paperback.
For one 23-page comic.
For one 23-page comic. It needs to be printed in there twice.
We need to contact Liefeld and tell him to relaunch this on Indiegogo so I can pay $35 to find out the rest of this story.
You're just dying to know what happened to Evangeline, are you?
Well, I want to see how they get Jesus to come back and kick Zeus's butt, and what kind of like training regiment he has to go through, Rocky IV style. There are a lot of unanswered questions that will leave me to my own devices, and that never ends well.
It's like
we could always make it, Jack. I mean, you said you had another idea for another comic, so
it's really offensive. I'll tell you off air.
I'm actually gonna have to go back and watch his stream. The way that I got shit set up, when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see chat, and so I can see all these comments where it's like, "Get this off my screen." They fake, for fuck's sake! Like all these, like I got to go back and read what chat was saying. And Chaos Eve asks, is it bad that I love every moment of this? Like, unironically, yes, that is bad. If you love it ironically, I get it, but unironically, I don't know.
Matt Gunsky, Jesus is gonna resurrect his fist up your ass.
To me, this strikes me as being what's the word? Like, it just like you said, it's 12-year-old boy edgy. Yeah, I guess that's as best descriptor as any. It's just holy fuck, man. And yeah, it's a standalone. It was meant to be like continued, obviously, but never was, because Rob Liefeld is absolutely infamous for starting things he never finished and then restarting series over and over again. If you go look at Evangeline's publication history at any one of the websites that'll list it through Comics Vine or whatever, she's in constant restarts of things. Like, and then crossovers with Glory. She's got like 6 crossovers with Glory. This is an Evangeline / Glory crossover, The Goddessy, #1. And it was supposed to be an ongoing series. But of course, Rob didn't finish it because the guy has like a core idea. And his idea is like, what happens if like Jesus fought Zeus? And that's all he's got. He doesn't have anything more. He doesn't.
So I maintain that Rob Liefeld is the reason we have comicsgate now. Because his attitude throughout the 90s of self-centeredness led to a lot of these people having that same attitude nowadays. And it's so much worse. Because his sense of entitlement, I mean, he got sued by Marvel for trying to steal Captain America and the Red Skull.
Yeah. You know what? We should save that till next week. We'll do the IP Racketeers and Rob Liefeld's strange relationship with trying to rip off Captain America and fighting American and all that stuff. Let's do that next week because it's a great story in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's like, I will have Captain America one way or another. And it's like, no, you won't. He's like, okay, I'll create the same character. Well, no, you won't. And then he's like, okay, well, I'll buy this other ancient character. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, but he did it with other characters too. Like, look at all of Youngblood. They're Avengers and Fantastic Four characters.
And
Troll was Wolverine.
Every Youngblood team iteration that he did had a Wolverine ripoff character every time. Yeah. It was the man had very little imagination. He could do pinup art that was dynamic, and I'll give him that credit. But other than that, it's
just sad.
Well, you know what? If you took Rob Liefeld and you actually gave him some ability to have some follow through, he might have actually, done more than, what I mean, than actually happened.
He created a character called Supreme, right? It was like a Superman knockoff.
Sure. Yep.
He got Alan Moore to write that.
Yeah.
And he wrote it for years. And it was basically Silver Age Superman.
Alan Moore prays to a bundle of sticks at night. Who cares?
I know, but the guy's got a reputation for being, popular and kind of quirky and doing a lot of stuff. But most people don't know that he worked for Extreme Studios for years during his off time.
Oh,
Alan
hey, Camel,
Moore,
you have been wrenched.
Alan Moore wrote for Wildstorm, and it was actually a really damn good story.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's capable. He's just like a pagan new age moron now, and has been for a long time, unless we forget about his porn comic that he charged $200 an issue.
Oh, that Lost Girls. Oh my god, that was so creepy.
Yeah, like what the fuck? And yes, chat, the guy Alan Moore of comic book fame, and it's, you know, he wrote The Killing Joke. It's fucking brilliant, but then he also did a fantastically overpriced porn comic. Like, why? Because he's a fucking weirdo. That's why people go nuts, man, and he's one of them.
If people buy it, though, you can hardly blame the dude.
I don't think that people ever bought it. That was a passion project, and sorry for the pun there, because it's porn.
Well, it was like $200 when it first came out, because it was like a 3-volume set.
Okay, and for those of you that feel bad that the story was never continued, which I can understand, because doesn't everybody want to know what happened to Evangeline? Well, I've got good news. I've got great news for you. Goddessy comic to pick. Liefeld's comic book is in development for the big screen.
Oh my god, yes! Oh my god, yes!
I needed this in my life. Thank you, Polly. It's like Christmas.
Rob Liefeld's comic book, The Goddessy, is in development for the big screen with producers Ton Gardner and Brooklyn Weaver on board. Blah, 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 blah. The story centers on gods of the Grand Pantheon, including Zeus, Buddha, Ra, and Pangu, who must come together to fight a legion of fallen gods in an epic battle over mankind. But where's Kung Fu Jesus?
Yeah, where's Jesus?
He's the ringer.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, they have to. That's his second coming. His second coming is going to come back and kick every single god's ass.
Yeah, see, the gods that are going in to fight the evil ones, or the dead ones rather, they're going to lose that first battle, and they're going to have a come to Jesus meeting. And they're going to have to apologize for, being false gods and whatnot, and beg him to help, and he'll walk on some water and kick some ass.
Now, this story itself, Variety, I didn't want you to think that it was just like Variety's, the Hollywood magazine, right? Is from 2013. So it's like, oh, well, this is old and it didn't go anywhere. Actually, if you continue to read on it, it is still absolutely in pre-production. These things take a long time to come to the screen. It's absolutely still in development. It's been sold from the producers named here to another production house, but it's absolutely still under development, and there's recent stories related to it. I just put up the Variety one because, no, it's real. They really are thinking about it. I love this. Garner discovered the project last month via Twitter when comic book creator Liefeld tweeted about The Goddessy becoming his next big project to manage and produce. I love that. It's like, can you imagine like reading Twitter? You're a major Hollywood producer, and it's like Kung Fu Jesus fights Zeus, and you're like, yes, I want this.
Absolutely.
And there's butts and tits. Awesome. This is perfect.
I will own the Blu-ray.
I am a little concerned though, because there is no Glory and there is no Evangeline mentioned.
Well, you can't do with it. The Goddessy story, well, not mentioned here, but I mean, I don't understand what intellectual property it is that you're purchasing. Like, doesn't that seem like a story that you could easily rip off? Where if you want gods fighting gods and it doesn't involve Evangeline or Glory, why would you even need to give this fucktard Liefeld credit? Just go to your house writers and say, I've got this idea for a story, guys. As if Pantheon versus Pantheon is owned by Liefeld. The Olympians have fought the Egyptian gods in the Marvel universe before. Nobody owns the rights to the various gods.
There's a MOBA all about that called Smite.
Yes, there is. Like, so what? They had to buy the license from Smite? Good example. No, they don't. So one would have to imagine, I'm saying, that it would have to include either Evangeline or Glory or both. Otherwise, what the fuck are they even screwing with Liefeld for? They wouldn't need to.
He's got some ins in Hollywood because he's done work before that has been licensed but never really produced. So he probably has some connections and just blundered into it.
Jack, Eve asked, what's the name of the porn comic? What's it, Lost Girls?
Yeah.
It's very, very lesy. It's very lesy.
Yeah.
So there it is. You needn't worry. The Goddessy is not finished as of yet. We might find out whether Evangeline was actually blown up and whether Kung Fu Jesus will defeat Zeus. I can't believe that combination of words just came out of my mouth.
I am shocked and appalled that I did not know about this.
Let's put it this way. That comes out, I will camp out for that one just like I'll camp out for America Chavez.
Oh, I think this has potential to be even better than Chavez.
Oh, yeah. It does.
Peter says it could be a cult classic like Sharknado. Yes, it could. Yes, it could.
Yeah. I will make everyone. I will take a church group there, drive them personally, pay their admission.
Well, see, that's the thing. Church groups are actually getting to the point where they have a really good sense of humor. Back when I was a weeb, I would go to an anime convention up here in Chicago called ACEN, Anime Central. And every year we would go and park, in the Hyatt Regency Hotel parking lot. And every year we would see this Baptist van there. But on the windows of the van, they would take those like dry pens, the ink pen things for that you just have to wash off, and do things like honk if you love hentai, we break for tentacles and stuff like that.
Oh. Well, okay, I'll go down to the Curation Museum. That's only like 3 hours from me. Okay. I'll go down there and get a bunch of those like 6,000 year cultists that hang out there, or some Mennonites, and take them to see it and be like, it's gotta see. It's like a variety show with Jesus. He's on.
Wait a minute. There is an epic troll in this that I just thought of. Eve just posted the
hello
at Comic John. This is the alternative cover. It's actually the last page of the digital edition that I was using, but I already closed it, so it's good. Thank you, Eve, for posting that. Like live models. I can't believe that they actually paid 2 models to show up for this. But I only have one question: where's their metal thongs?
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't wear them to jazzercise because that's what they look like. They just left.
It's kind of, yeah. I got a question for you. How much do you think this comic book is going for? Jack, Quiz, what are your wagers?
$2.
$2. Quiz, what do you think?
I'll take the over under. I'll go $1.50.
$1.50. I was actually surprised. It is going for $4.
Wow.
That's overpriced.
Yeah, that's more than the cover. It has actually increased in value.
No, it's because they're scantily clad.
And Zelthor was in chat going, I want this comic. Well, there you go. Eve put up the link for you. You can have your own alternative cover edition of the Goddessy.
Oh my God.
Legend. I love it. Now, I wanted to... Chaos Eve says $10, and she's like, "Oh, what do you mean, Eve? You're the one who sent me the link. How did you not know what the price was?"
I don't think Eve was looking at the price.
Okay, just looking at the ladies. And while I'm at it, if you are so inclined, feel free to like the stream and share on Twitter if you're so interested. We would greatly appreciate it. And I think that runs through all the stories I wanted to cover so far. The Spawn movie's continuing on. I was reading about that and bounding into comics, but it's like, more key plot details and stuff like that. Are
they going to rehash the plot from the previous movie?
Yeah, they're going to kind of have to. Because, I mean, it's actually a very interesting idea. I will give Todd McFarlane a lot of credit as somebody who's an artist first and foremost. He actually ended up creating a fairly interesting, very interesting world for his characters to inhabit. I think it was a good original idea, and good for him, because you got a lot of artists who can't write worth shit, but think that they can.
Yeah,
that's why I ended up being such a fan of the non-confrontational relationships between certain artists and writers, where they would both be pooling ideas where the writer would kind of do artist plot outs of panels. This is what I had in mind. And the artist would riff off of that idea. The long time and highly productive relationship between Jim Lee and Chris Claremont comes to mind.
Yeah.
Chris Claremont and Alan Davis, who co-created Excalibur. And these guys wouldn't fight. And the comics end up being very lived in worlds because you've got the artist and the writer working together, as opposed to the artist just receiving a written page and then having to kind of like visually create the entire world with very few descriptors. It reminds me of that EVS stream I was watching a little while ago, and somebody asked a really smart question. Do you like in the scripts that you receive to have world descriptions, or do you want it to be straight up just the narration and word bubbles? And EVS, I was surprised, as much of a strong visual guy he is in terms of, I think this page should look like that, I think it should look like this. He said, no, I want the descriptions from the writer because I want to know what they're thinking. If I use it, I use it. Most of the time I do, you know, riff off of their ideas, but I definitely want to know what's on their mind. Otherwise I'm guessing. And then, you know, it's kind of like entirely on me, and God knows the artists have a hell of a lot of hours to spend at a table on a single page. They got enough work, kind of like, you know, get the ball rolling, hit the ground running, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool that EVS had said that. And you have a failing when you have somebody who's a writer and an artist like Rob Liefeld who can't do either. That's when you get really bad comics.
He did that jeans commercial and he did really good on that.
Directed by Spike Lee.
Well, let's not get carried away. Wasn't that good.
Well, no, for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, Rob Liefeld back in the day did a button fly Levi's. Was it Levi's?
Something like that.
It was button fly jeans commercial directed by Spike Lee that they were both in. Go figure. What does Spike Lee or Rob Liefeld, a comic book artist, have to do with jeans? Who the fuck knows? But the comics or the commercials up on YouTube, and it's oh my God, it's pure cheese. It's great.
Who actually wanted button-down jeans?
Oh, it was a thing back then.
It's a terrible. Well, I know I had a pair, but it's a terrible idea.
Well, I don't know, man. I remember hearing Seinfeld's joke on that in one episode. He's George Costanza's complaining, I don't like these button fly jeans. They take too long to put up. And Jerry says, I'm happy with the button fly. If there's any one place on my clothing that I don't want sharp interlocking metal teeth, it's around my groin.
Well, at the same time, though, have you tried to take those off to like take a piss?
I've never worn button fly jeans now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
just get a head start on your way to the bathroom.
Yeah, because chances are, if you're not quick enough, you're going to piss yourself.
Yeah. I threw a link to the commercial in the chat there.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. And as we're rounding up here, and we've topped 2 hours, I think it's time we should go on to our comic book pitches and talk about something that we genuinely like, unironically.
What are you talking about? This Evangeline and Glory story is amazing.
You know what? I think the core character of Evangeline could be successful. It's an interesting idea, but mostly because it seems to be a lift off of Todd McFarlane's Spawn world.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a highly complex world. And I always love those lived in worlds because then your imagination can fill it. You know, well, it lives with you outside the comic because it's well thought out and strikes you as interesting. You know, so Evangeline, really I think, has potential.
It's really kind of funny. The only comic, to my knowledge, that actually has any crossover like that with Spawn was Youngblood.
What? Say that again. I'm sorry.
To my knowledge, I think the only comic that actually has any crossover like that with Spawn is Youngblood.
Well, you haven't read Batman Spawn?
Well, I'm talking about like Image comics that are designed to be that are designed to be part of a a universe like DC and Marvel.
Well, I mean, Spawn's costume was supposed to be a Youngblood costume that he had come across. Like when Al Simmons first shows up, he has no clothing because spoilers, he's back from hell. Yeah, and he ends up just stealing a Youngblood member's costume. Hence why.
That's not what happens in the comic.
Well, yeah, it's just like a cheap crossover ploy, if you will.
Yeah.
There you go, Lucky.
Well, it's funny.
I worked the word in.
It's funny, yeah, ploy. It's funny. There's several lines in that series in Spawn where like when he meets Overkill, he by the way, only a week old now with the passing of Stan Lee. Overkill actually owes his entire existence to Stan Lee. But yeah, like when Overkill first meets with Spawn, he talks about how he's a young blood ripoff.
The Lee's original foray on Image, Wildcats, was it?
Well, that was originally Wildstorm. He had created his own imprint. But later on, it actually got sold to Image, and then Image lost the rights to it, reverted back to Jim Lee, and Jim Lee sold it to DC when he went over to DC.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I thought somebody had told me, because I never read it, that when it was on Image, it was pretty heavily involved in the other, like being a crossover shared world thing. But I don't know. I never read it. I just heard that from a few people.
Yeah, it crossed over with quite a bit. There's like we were marveling at there was all of the Aliens and Predator DC crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
I've got like the Batman versus Predator and the Superman versus Aliens and all that kind of stuff. There's also a Wildcats versus Aliens.
Of course.
So
that needed to happen.
Yeah.
That was called for.
Yeah.
I'm almost okay. Two things occur to me as epic trolls. One, what we need to do is come up with a fake cover for the Goddessy and present it as a Christian comic and try selling it to evangelical churches for the kids.
I could do that. I could do that.
That's an epic. Jesus is all in it, and he's displayed as being all powerful.
No.
The crucifixion is even depicted.
Hang on. It's a door-to-door Bible salesman by day, and by night, he's a preacher with an attitude that goes about converting the sinners. He's like a superhero street preacher. I'd read that.
The other thing is, I think that this is the kind of thing that 4chan could do well. I know, not my personal army. I'm not suggesting that 4chan actually do this. It just seems like something they would be good at. They could start trolling Rob Liefeld to see if this idiot would actually believe that people wanted to fund Goddessy #2.
Dude, I would put money into fund Goddessy #2.
Unironically, Polly, I would as well. I want to see a continuation of this story.
You know what? So do I. It's true.
I
mean, I have to know. Was Evangeline actually killed? I can't live without knowing. She sacrificed herself for glory.
But you know what? Jesus will just come by and resurrect her again. All Lazarus-like.
All right.
Shazam,
Jack,
get up.
Do you have Shazam get up? Is that what he said outside of Lazarus?
I don't know. I just assume Jesus has the powers of Shazam.
This is all like you could write a troll version of the New Testament, like Eve was joking earlier. It's like this all happened. It's just Jesus was too humble to put it in the book. So it's like there you go. Jesus is raising from the dead line actually is Shazam.
The further adventures of Jesus. I'm gonna get working on this tonight.
There you go. So before you get working on that, you got a pitch for us, Jack?
Yep. Let me share here. My pitch is William Gibson's Alien 3, the unproduced screenplay. You guys know who William Gibson is?
No.
But I actually liked Alien 3, so you have my attention, sir.
No, Alien 3 sucked compared to this because William Gibson is the founder of cyberpunk as we know it today. He wrote a book called Neuromancer and a book called Burning Chrome and Mona Lisa Overdrive. And those three books basically created the genre of cyberpunk as we know it now. So the role-playing game Cyberpunk 2020 was based off of his work. So he was commissioned to write Alien 3, And he wrote a screenplay, and they didn't do it, and they went with that travesty of justice that was Alien 3. Because compared to...
I liked it.
I didn't hate it, but it wasn't Alien or Aliens.
No, it wasn't.
It just wasn't as good.
But then again, Aliens wasn't Alien. Sorry, cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. This was the one they should have done, honestly, because William Gibson is a very talented writer. But they took the screenplay, and Johnny Christmas, hopefully not his real name, and Tamara Bonvillain did this book.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what? I actually liked it. So let's look at some pictures here. So what happens is the I can't pronounce the fucking ship's name. The spaceship that Newt and Ripley and Bill Paxton were on drifts into what?
It's not Bill Paxton.
Whatever. They all looked alike. They're just Marines, right?
I say Bill Paxton died on the planet on LV-246.
Game over, man.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't remember the movie.
What are we gonna do anyway?
Anyway, the three survivors are in stasis. So the ship ends up having a navigational malfunction and going through the territory of somebody that's not Weyland-Yutani. It's the UPP. And they board the ship to try and loot it before it gets out of their territory, because it just goes to this little sliver. And they end up finding a face hugger, and one of their people gets left behind. Here's his body. So then they get off the ship, and they take Bishop, half of Bishop's body, and they go back to their territory. Well, the ship ends up going to Anchor Point, which is a space station, and a weapons team division has shown up to help search the ship. But the weapons team left before the ship had a malfunction, and they said they're there to investigate the malfunction. So these guys are the bio team that's supposed to go on, and they know something's up. So what we're learning is that Weyland-Yutani seems to have some kind of agenda to get a sample of the aliens. And, oh man, it was really fun. The art looks a little rough here because these are small panels that actually are enlarged for the sake of showing. But you can see the art's not that bad. And it was a fun read. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I was really enthralled by the pacing. It's really good. The story's really good. And we're going to find out what happened to the survivors from Aliens.
I'd say
I like the art.
Yeah, it's a 44-page prestige format, or?
Nope, this is a 4-part miniseries. This is just a first issue. It just came out last week, I think.
Sweet.
So, but it looks like I had a blast reading it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it because I was a big William Gibson fan when I was younger. So seeing him do something completely different like this was a lot of fun, and they adapted it very well because the screenplay is out there on the internets if you want to ruin it. But man, this was a good adaptation, and I got to give them credit. Johnny Christmas and Tamara Bonvillain did a good job. I actually thought they did a really good job on this one, so I wanted to recommend it. Nice. And if you want to listen to my review on my channel, I will throw that link in the chat. Plug. Shameless.
You caught my interest. I want to read that. Fuck yeah.
Dude, I'm not a huge Aliens fan, obviously, but because I'm a pretty casual nerd, really, except for my comics. But it really piqued my interest. I was like, oh, William Gibson, sweet. So I was excited by just seeing his name on it. And then I was like, all right, this is actually really interesting. And it's mostly world building for this issue, but you get a little bit of action, and I really can't wait for issue 2 to come out.
All right. Quiz. What do you have for us, sir?
All right. Speaking on another sort of aspect of apology for people that are anti-comicsgate here, my pitch is also like that. Written by Gail Simone, art by John Davis.
Schrader. Sorry.
Letterer Todd Klein, Jenny Friesen, cover art, logo design by Steve Cook. What is it? Oh, wait, hold on. What was Gail Simone's last credit there? It was something.
Arby's.
Created by Gail Simone. My pitch is, let me screen share. Clean Room. It's part of a Vertigo imprint. It's essentially a horror comic. A lot of the sort of ideas that she shares in Clean Room, you don't get the same sort of sense of Gail Simone being like she is on Twitter. This is actually a fairly interesting story. It's all about this little girl named Astrid Mueller, who can see these sort of horrible monsters that no one else can. And some people specifically are like entirely replaced by these monsters. Everyone else sees people, she sees monsters. Well, it turns out that they are these sort of like weird alien creatures, but also not. There's like an allegory with them being demons and angels that have come from this sort of arc in the sky and are slowly seeding humanity with chaos to invade and take over and destroy. And only people that have had near-death experiences are the ones that can see these sort of monsters. As you can see, like right here in the beginning, Astrid is thrown out of the way of this speeding vehicle, but she's horribly injured, all this blood and everything. After she's hurt so badly, her father drags the driver out of the car and beats him to an inch of his life. And then while Astrid is recovering in the hospital, she looks up and sees her father is a horrible monster. And yeah, there's all of this sort of intrigue that goes on and trying to figure out exactly what is going on with these horrible creatures. I really enjoyed this comic. I read it long before I even knew who Gail Simone was. And seeing all of her activity on Twitter has me puzzled because I really enjoyed Clean Room.
Huh. So let me get this straight. So these aliens are freakish monsters that pose as normal people, and only certain people can see them. So these aliens are SJWs?
Yes.
Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
No, like I said, man, when I first started, watching people like Diversity in Comics and seeing all of the hate that Gail Simone was getting, and I went back and looked at Clean Room and I saw who wrote it. I'm all like, fucking really? Because a lot of the sort of story beats in it, you wouldn't think of someone as what's a good way to put it? Haughty as Gail Simone appears on Twitter would be someone that would, write something like Clean Room. Clean Room seems so much like someone who's a little bit more well-adjusted. I mean, now in retrospect, I read Clean Room and I notice things like how the main character isn't Astrid Mueller. Right, she's kind of like a story beat that gets the story going. She kind of becomes the mentor and teacher of the main character, Chloe, and Chloe, the main character, is a Black woman. Now, when I read that before knowing anything about Gail Simone, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever. It didn't matter to me about the race or the gender of the person. Now, knowing who Gail Simone is and Gail Simone's values makes me question that a little bit, but it didn't detract from the story when I read it, and it still doesn't detract from it. So I don't know. Like I said, this is this is the I guess the apology hour for some of these people, and to prove that not all of their pursuits are awful. I mean, Bond villain is just as bad as Gail Simone, and
yeah, but when they have some talent and they actually display it, we want to point that out and be like, hey, they actually did a good job here.
Exactly. And I've got to say that Gail Simone did an amazing job writing for Clean Room.
Cool.
All right. Well, my pitch, I have a hard time knowing how much to talk about to entice people to want to read something without giving away spoilers. Because I tend to think of stories as being like part of an encompassed whole. So I can jump to the last page and talk about what was so awesome about that before. So I didn't really know how to pitch this one. And I had read through it and loved it. And I was at a loss of how to talk about it. And in a unlikely turn for me, I found the best way to pitch it was to just to read out the first short paragraph of the Wikipedia article on it, which is, not a common work, but somebody who really knew what they were talking about and really knows how to pitch something did a good job. So I'm not going to try and let my pitch is Madame Mirage.
Ah, yeah. So you actually went and read it.
I did. I read it actually like a month ago, and then have actually reread it since. It's that good. Okay. Cyberpunk noir, as the best way I can describe it. This is done by the incomparable Paul Dini, who Quiz could probably describe. The man's talents and contributions far better than I could, but he's a very talented individual, heavily Batman related, wrote a lot of the best parts of did he write all? He didn't write all of Batman the Animated Series, did he?
He was the head writer for Batman the Animated Series.
So he got to be the script editor for everything if he's the head writer. So there you go. Everything had his hands on it. That's
yes,
definitely. Madame Mirage is so epically awesome in so many epic ways. Let me just start off with this Wikipedia description, and then I'll go into my own thoughts on it. It's murder, intrigue, and revenge with superpowers. The story of Madame Mirage takes place in a world where superheroes are man-made creations. Advances in technology and bioengineering turned people into metahumans, and metahumans into gods. But where there are heroes, there must also be villains. Eventually, as people began to take advantage of the mega tech for personal gain, the technology was banned. Superheroes thus became outlaws, and actual real outlaws went underground. What a great description of the world that Madame Mirage takes place in. It's a really well thought out thing. Paul Dini actually had the original idea for Madame Mirage sometime before he actually got it written up, and then brought in Kenneth Rocafort to pencil it. And his pencils are just fucking outstanding. I love the art style in it. But the entire premise basically of the story is that in the future where people are made into superheroes through technology, and then people that already have superpowers have them augmented to the point of being incredibly powerful, but now they're prohibited. And as often happens in cyberpunk worlds and fantasy settings, the corporations become very, very powerful and become to like supplant even federal and country state authorities. ASI is the big firm in this, and that's Aggressive Solutions Incorporated. That's not infamous sounding at all, is it? Madame Mirage.
They're going to solution things aggressively.
That's right. We have solutions. They're very aggressive, and we've incorporated, so we're taxable. They control a lot of the metahuman augmentation processes that are supposed to be banned, except when they're happening under very specific circumstances. They find themselves the target of a revenge trip by this Madame Mirage, who you see pictured here on the cover. slowly destroying their facilities and killing off their key personnel with no real understanding of why and who it is. And this is where I really want to avoid the spoilers, because it is a detective noir mystery thriller. And to kind of like reveal too much kind of destroys the story. But it's like, why is she doing this? Why does she look the way that she does? Where did she get her powers from? And what's her problem with ASI that she's doing this? Because it seems extremely personal. Madame Mirage has a younger sister by the name of Harper. And part of the mystery is, what is the relationship between her and her younger sister? And like, why are they in this revenge trip together, but then not, kind of in disagreement over it? It's a fascinating mystery and plays out really well. The best way, hands down, to buy this is the collected edition. It ran 6 issues, thick issues, at like that thick butt that you see there. Yeah. And the collected edition is a whopping 200 pages of fantastic glossy wickedness. So that's definitely the way to buy it, to have the complete story all in one. There's all 6 stories as they run in: Fade In, Snap, Girl Talk, The Gauntlet, Mirage at Bay, and Fade Out. And then all of this super sweet bonus material about like Paul Dini explaining what he thought about the characters, and sketch galleries and alternative cover stuff. This came out originally in 2007, and this image, I just love it so much because it's so classy. It's just great. Is the thumbnail for today, because why not? Just look at Roquefort's art. Look at the coloring. It's so much of the story as great graphic novels do. It's a great blend of graphic storytelling along with just enough narrative to fill you in and let your imagination do the rest, to make the world exist for you. You know what I mean? Here's the background. Here's what's happening. And then Madame Mirage appears and someone's running and she's a dangerous woman. And it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. It is a mystery thriller. When you find out what's going on and what the relationship between Madame Mirage and Harper is, that actually happens at the end of issue number 2, but it doesn't finish the mystery. It keeps going. It's like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? You can't wait to read the next one and the next one. It's the height of great graphic novel storytelling. It's a page turner, and it's something you want to read over again, as I did recently. Definitely worth your money. I would highly recommend it. So that's my pitch for today.
Cool. I just looked it up on Amazon. You can, if you're into Kindle format, it's only 99 cents.
Holy shit! Seriously?
Well, it's by issue, I think.
Okay.
So the trade's like $15. So
the trade's 15.
Yeah.
Oh, that's worth your $15. I obviously have the digital that I got, but that's something I need in my life in glossy prestige format. I gotta have it. Definitely gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Me too.
If you have any love for the noir era and like, you know, you get things like Blade Runner is supposed to be cyberpunk noir. It's supposed to be detective fiction in the future. This is that, but done very comic booky with a lot of those tropes. Paul Dini, man, he deserves applause for that creation. It explains a lot about how a well thought out world, you know, the way that the way that Clarissa and Echo's relationship is really well thought out in Blue Mamba. You know, if you spend time beforehand as opposed to throwing something together, looking at you, Rob Liefeld, it can really play itself out in an interesting way. It shows when you didn't think about it very much.
I guarantee you, Rob Liefeld spent plenty of sleepless nights coming up with Kung Fu Jesus.
Yeah, but he did it kind of a third of as cool as we made it out to be.
And what's on top of that is that when you read the stuff at the back, where it's like from the desk of Paul Dini, you saw it there in the table of contents. Paul Dini explains the origin of it, and he based Madame Mirage on his wife. So he's, how can I say this? When it's his wife and his wife is, you know, his beloved life partner, he's going to make her very interesting and spend a lot of time on it. And it shows in how much time he spent developing her and making her look super cool and be super competent. And yeah, it was great.
Are you saying she's not those things in real life? Because we all know women are strong and independent. They don't need no man.
Don't need no man.
Yeah. Well, I was actually thinking about it where it's like Madame Mirage is of course like seductive and sexy as hell. And it's like,
Oh.
yeah, enough of this that Cheesecake is automatically disempowering. No, it's not. Because this is like an ode to his wife. So clearly he wasn't looking to disempower his wife. So fuck you, ideologues. You make no sense.
Yeah. No, it's really kind of funny about that too. I mean, the other Paul Dini book, I think I pitched it earlier in Comic Book Curation. Dark Knight, spelled Night, not Knight, where it's all about it's the real Batman story. It's where Paul Dini is telling the story about how he grew up to be the writer that he is, and then the one night that he goes out on this horrible date, has a terrible run-in with his date, and he walks home and two guys beat the shit out of him, and he's going through all of this like trauma and stress afterwards, not wanting to leave his house and all of that kind of stuff. But he couches his psychosis in the voices of Batman heroes and villains. Like, the Joker is the nice guy. He just wants him to stay in, and hey man, you need to take all the time in the world just for yourself, man. No one needs to tell you what to do. You can just do what you need to do. But Batman is the voice of reason, saying you need to get your ass out of this house and get back to work. Batman's the tough love. So the one thing that I thought was really kind of interesting is that Paul Dini specifically said, this is just a sort of, I guess, a glance into Paul Dini's mentality when he writes for things like comic books. He was asked why Harley was never in any of the Dark Knight. And he said, because Harley represents something for me that I wasn't feeling at that time. Harley represented joy and laughter. And I didn't feel that when I was, in my lethargy after getting the shit kicked out of me. So
what a great example of how deep he gets into his storytelling, and good for him. It's unlike some people who Gabby Rivera, looking at you, crap out some bullshit. It's you sense it. And Peter's got to get going. And see you later, Peter. Thanks for showing up.
Bye, Peter.
And that's probably a good sign that Corey showed up right when I'm about to wrap it up.
I know, right?
Sometimes. Well, it's okay. I got to go back and see what racism Jack and Quiz were spewing. And find out what kind of funny comments Chad was making over top of the Goddessy comic. So yeah, I got to go watch it again myself, Corey. So you're not alone. But yeah, I think we are going to wrap it up here. And yeah, Jack Kaninsky calls it method comic writing. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So final thoughts. I use collected editions. It's not. I mean, Madame Mirage, what a find that would be for a use. Like, oh, this looks like a great cover. And let me just flip through. Oh, the art looks fantastic. Yeah, let's go with this. There's lots of things of that sort to be found at local comic book shops. If any of these things, you find them interesting, our particular pitches, or maybe a style or genre of comic is of interest to you, ask people to work at the comic book stores about them, what used editions exist. They're very knowledgeable to be able to help you out in that way. Definitely something to think about. Quiz, final thoughts.
Well, we wouldn't have had a whole segment of this show if it weren't for someone going to a convention and picking up a whole bunch of cheap comic books. We're looking at you, and thank you, Eve. You've spurned us to talk bullshit about our Kung Fu Jesus for about an hour. Yes, so go to local conventions. Small ones are always the best. You can find cheap comic books there, and yeah, you can find some weird and wild and crazy stuff.
Yeah. Jack.
Support some of the smaller companies like Alterna and American Mythology. They're doing good work that the mainstream books aren't doing. And subscribe to my channel, which I will put in the chat right now.
Oh yeah, subscribe to Jack's channel. He does bad comic book reviews, but I mean, some of the smaller comics, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, Image no longer counts as that because they're run by insane ideological maniacs.
And they're a pretty damn big company too.
Yeah,
well, all things considered, yeah, like they're not a DC or Marvel, but they're there's a reason I would say the big two plus Image, because they have a lot of properties. There's no question.
IDW is doing some good stuff. Their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lines are pretty good. They just released GoBots and a couple other titles, so they're doing stuff that for properties that you might recognize. Dynamite's got Battlestar Galactica. They've got Sheena. They've got Sherlock Holmes.
Dynamite's awesome. Dynamite's got great stuff.
They may not be the greatest, but they're trying really hard to put out good work.
Yeah, and look at Madame Mirage. That came out on Top Cow.
Yeah.
Like it's it doesn't need to be DC Marvel. Don't get me wrong. I love DC and Marvel, but there's lots of great storytelling going on in the genre of sequential art outside of those big two.
Yeah, you should check out some of the small press stuff. There's good stuff out there. And I think that's where a lot of the best material is right now. Like Firefly just came out from Boom Studios, and Star Trek versus Transformers. There's good material out there that's worth picking up. So don't get hung up on Marvel and DC.
Yeah. And Hey Camel says you guys should definitely start the stream over. For those of us who got here late, I will not go through that again. Hey Camel,
I'll tell you what,
I love you, chat. You guys are great for showing up and listening to us ramble, but I can't do that over again. It was terrible.
In about an hour, it'll all start over because it'll have processed, and then it'll be at the beginning again.
Oh man, and I don't know if you guys in chat followed that, but there was what am I talking about? There was nothing to follow. We were all over the place. I've said this is our most disorganized stream for a lot of streams, but this was our most disorganized stream. I don't want to see how we're going to go worse than this.
So we have to top this next week.
That's not what I meant at all. Let's
plan our racism for the next one, Jack.
Challenge accepted.
Don't say things like "let's plan our racism" on my channel, don't you? Jesus. You guys are like the guests that come over and then don't take your shoes off and spit on the floor. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Reiki.
All right. As I said, chat, thanks for showing up. You guys are awesome. And Jack and Quiz, I don't know. I'll thank you next time, not this time. I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome. It's always great to have you here. So we will leave it at that. And if you haven't already on your way out, or you're listening in the future, and thank you for doing so if you are, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because if my subscription box is any indication, that notification bell doesn't tell me half of the things I'm subscribed to, God damn it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah.
I didn't even know the subscription box was a thing until Zelthor told me about it like 2 months ago. And I'm like, the subscription, what now? And I went and looked in there and saw all these fucking videos I was missing every single day. Goddamn YouTube.
Yep.
All right. On that note, have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Night.